Cool. All right. Well, most of you guys already know me, but I'm Dami, and I run Clientele Boosters Consulting Group. Now, bear with me, my voice still hasn't fully recovered from a series of game shows over the last couple months. And I'm still going to have to use it in Dubai again next weekend, but I'm going to give you guys the best I can. A lot of this information people actually pay us for. Um, Quite frankly, some of the other people attending today were actually more clients that were looking to upsell. You guys won't have to worry about that. It's all free game, but these are things that people spend tens of thousands of dollars wanting to learn. So look forward to sharing it with you. Now, before I kind of get into how it all works, it would be really cool if we kind of make this an interactive kind of session. So I'm going to go through some slides, stop, ask you guys questions, answer your questions, etc. And we're kind of going to find ways of integrating what's helped us scale to effectively about $3 to $5 million a year revenue without any investors, without any credit assistance, just pure bootstrapped old school entrepreneurship, and how you guys can kind of integrate that into your own businesses to get a similar result. Make sense? On Friday, literally yesterday, we hit a team high of 110 appointments booked in one day. All of cold calling. And I'm saying this as a marketer. So I know Facebook ads, I know Google ads, I know SEO. I'm actually going to India at the end of this year to speak on stage with a guy called Neil Patel. Have you guys heard of Neil Patel? Yeah. No? You haven't? So there's Grant Cardone for real estate, there's Ty for courses. Neil Patel is kind of like the SEO guru. So I'll be speaking, and then Gary Vee is kind of above them. So I'll be speaking on stage with Neil Patel about SEO. So all these things are great, but if you're a service business, which most of you are, except some of the SaaS guys, the main thing that you're solving for is more clients, better clients, and losing less than you're getting more of. That's the only focus, right? Marketing is great. I'm saying this as a marketing guy, but sales is the most important thing. So how did we get to 110 appointments? And again, this is a live screenshot. Unfortunately, because we're using Fabio's computer, I'm not going to show you guys Slack, but maybe at the end I will. That was in the span of 20 or 30 minutes. So one business dialogue, health and support services. We call a lot of our biggest industries that we cold call in the business that we have is healthcare. So that can be cosmetic clinics, dental clinics, NDIS, aged care, etc. The second one is finance. It's a lot of buyers agents, real estate, property management guys, wealth consultants. We actually have one of Agent Patelli's friends is a client of ours for 3 years, and we helped them literally with the same process that I'm going to show you expand from Melbourne to Dubai, and I think they're trying to sell for like $100 million. The owner's name is... so yeah, X Health Australia, Meets Care. These are purely just off cold calling, not Facebook ads. Okay, so we need to think in first order consequences. So what led to 110 appointments and what's going to lead to you guys' eventual 50 appointments today? So first of all, in that month, which was July, we made over 44,000 calls. So there's no hack. It's a system and it starts small and it scales. Those 44,000 calls led to 1,400 appointments booked throughout the whole month. And by the way, that was actually a missed target by my SDR team. This month, their target is 2,000 appointments, right? Off cold calling. And in new clients, we generated over $103,000 in revenue. I'm going to show you screenshots from our Stripe in a few minutes, right? So this is all just very simple focus, right? More appointments, more sales, etc. So what you'll find is that a lot of the stats that I'll show you, you're going to be like, damn, like, okay, like 26, how do you build a team to like 100 staff members? Maybe he's just got a lot of sales experience. Maybe he had an advantage. Maybe he hired the right salespeople. You do not have to be a prolific salesperson to make this work. And it's still accelerating. So last month, the month before July, we made 27,000 cold calls as a team, and we generated 653 appointments. Last month, that's an inaccurate stat, that's 1,400, and we generated an extra 30 to 40 new clients just off cold calling. And it's accelerating. So by the end of the year, this is slightly confidential, but it's going to be on YouTube, so fuck it. The goal is actually by the time I'm 27 or a little bit older than 27, just off cold calling, without consulting, without paid ads, worst case, 500K a month, and then medium case is about $1 million a month in revenue. That's what we're pacing towards at the moment. And at the moment, we're probably looking at a 50% probability of hitting the $1 million a month by November. And I'll show you the stats on where we're currently at and how we do it. So a bit about me. I'm going to show you guys some pictures of where I started and where we are right now. So we have 100 plus team members all across the world: Melbourne, Sydney, West Africa, so Ghana, Nigeria, Kosovo, and Eastern Europe as well. And we're expanding. The old stat was 2.5 million a year. Like I said, we're hovering at around 3 to 4 at the moment. Annual recurring revenue. We've generated, again, old stat, but we can prove this. A lot of your biggest nightclubs in Melbourne have at some point been my client, whether that's Miss Collins, the Emerson, Federation Square. I've been doing this since I was a teenager, so a lot of them at some point I've done work for them. We've generated over $50 million in dollars for our clients, and we've served over 1,000 businesses all across the world, across 30 industries. Every single industry that you guys mentioned, we have at least 1 or 2 clients in them case study, at least. Except yours. Yours is a bit more niche. All right. So I wasn't always good at this. Nim actually went to the same high school as me. So at 18, I was actually really focused on playing basketball in the US, right? So I was a typical grind set guy, like wake up at 4 or 5 a.m., go to the gym, work out in the gym for an hour, go to the court, work on a court for an hour and a half, study for year 12. I have parents that are in the healthcare field. They're Nigerian. They were really not happy about me wanting to do entrepreneurship, and I'm the oldest child. And they had me in Fiji Island in 1999. So the one thing that they wanted me to do was to just come to Australia and just, use all those verbal skills, become a lawyer. You're already playing basketball at Melbourne Uni. That's what they wanted. Unfortunately, I had to disappoint them. But that same cold calling tenacity, I began at 18. So I initially would reach out to college coaches until I'd get a response. And by the grace of God, 2 weeks before I finished year 12, I had the opportunity to go over to LA and Sacramento to play basketball, where I was able to receive D2 and D3 offers. I wasn't good enough to play D1, was able to go D2 and D3. How did that lead to entrepreneurship? I came back realizing that the world is expensive. Americans work so much harder than us Australians. And if you guys have been to America, you guys would know that they're also more mentally unstable by far. But by the time I came back to Australia, I was like, okay, I need to make money to afford the level of training that I want to put into myself. So I went on YouTube, I tried drop shipping, I tried faceless YouTube channels, I had a cleaning business, I had nightclubs. I've tried at least 20 plus businesses. The agency was just one of the first ones that I stuck out. I got hit with Ty Lopez's ad on the way back from a Sydney tour, basketball tournament with my brother. Here in my garage, exactly. And then as soon as I hopped off the plane, I had no business name at all. I hopped off the plane, went to Watton Street in Werribee. I started pitching with my dad's black turtleneck. Hi, my name is Dami Okedara. Pitch. After 3 months, 0 clients. Get my first one from a guy that actually pitched to me. He was part of a network marketing scheme. He still ended up becoming a client for $200 a month. Rest was history. By the start of 2020, just before COVID, I started to get a lot of traction. After 6 to 9 months of just really struggling to go from 1 to 3 clients, got a lot of traction. I actually got featured in the paper, and I was about to do my first 10K month. 2 weeks after that, COVID happened. All good? Okay. So yeah, and then 2020 to 2021, my agency started to grow, but I worked for a bunch of other companies because I lost the agency after COVID. So I worked for another agency called SEO Advantage in Abbotsford. They fired me after 4 weeks because I wasn't closing any deals. So when I tell you that you don't have to be a good salesperson to do this, it's a system. You don't have to be a good person to do this because this is actually you stealing something that's worked and that some of the biggest companies in the world have used. How do I know this? Well, one of the companies that I didn't get fired from that I worked at was a company called, usually don't disclose the name on camera just because not all the staff like me there. It's complicated. People don't always like it when you make it young. I'll put it that way. But yeah, I worked for 9 months and they were the second fastest growing tech company in the world. So Slack, who's heard of Slack? Everyone's heard of Slack? Cool. Slack was number 1 and my editor will blur out the name, was number 2. And I worked like a fucking dog because it was during COVID. I was selling to your industry, the automotive industry. I was selling to SaaS. I'm like this 21-year-old like little dreader that's playing basketball at Melbourne Uni, operating on like 5-6 hours of sleep because I'm trying to grow my business on the side. Had a nightclub culture at the time that was really popping off. So I was not sleeping, but I just was like, if I can master sales at this company because it's so hard and they just fire people so quickly because the standard's so high, then I will be set for life just based off skills. And I happened to be right. So I worked there for 9 months. I became, by October, so the time I was 22, or 21 or 22, I was the best SDR in for that whole month out of the whole Australia. And that was really hard because I was also one of the young, if not the youngest there. But it wasn't because I was the best natural salesperson. I spoke really quickly back then. I wasn't as good as tonal control. I still speak quickly now, but I learned a system that works, and I was able to install that into my business. Anyway, after working at, so this is what it looked like. I tried a bunch of shit. Like I got featured in the paper. This was after. So I went to 10 random book clubs. I was spitting out content. This is me at 20. This is the ex-owner of Love Machine, not Love Machine. CQ. You guys remember CQ? Yeah. That's CQ, Christian. So yeah, I interviewed him and Mohawk, them, my friends still to this day. They do crazy numbers now. I was spitting out content. You had me with the freaking stupid COVID mask, just putting out content. These are my first batch of clients. Yeah, swim schools. I got featured in the paper for multiple things because I was really growing really quickly once I cracked it. Aqua centers, e-com, a lot of restaurants in West Melbourne, construction. I got Wyndham TV. Who's seen Wyndham TV? Heard of Wyndham TV? No? Yeah, so they're basically like let's just say, yeah, it's like council SBS basically. They were a client of mine. The ex-mayor of Werribee was my client. Who does? Okay, I gave him consulting in 2020, right? So a lot of these names I've worked with at some point in the last 8 years. I talked about tech sales. After I worked at Podium, I became good enough to now really be a good sales leader. So I ended up working as head of sales for a startup called Search and Stay in Sydney. I think they're based in Manly. I worked there for 2 years. And at this point, now my agency was regularly spitting out 10, 30K a month. And I was like, okay, like I've done the proverbial 10K a month that all the Iman Gatti and all these guys push. But what you guys will realize, because maybe some of you guys are already at that level or higher, 10 to 30K a month is great if it's just you. It's not great if you have a team. It's not that profitable. At least if you're in a small consultancy, I'd say 50 to 60K a month. If you're doing 30K a month profit, and I learned this from Ty Lopez, who I interviewed 2 years ago, even over the door, 10 to 30K a month profit is very different. That's where you see a lot of people like flying, lifestyle, etc. But if you're trying to make real profit, you need a lot more money than just 10 to 30K a month. Now, I end up leaving Search and Stay, and by 25, so this is about a year and a half ago, so I'm 26 right now, I was finally able to clear like the 80K a month. And when you're really, really focused on like hitting your first $1 million, you like look at Stripe every day. You're like 83.3K, yes, like we're doing a run rate of, like you just want to push to that, right? We hit that last year. And truthfully, it wasn't actually the sales ability that got me to $1 million. It was actually focusing on retention. So I had to hire the right account managers, but that's not going to be applicable to all you guys. I'm just showing you my journey. But what pushed me from $1 million a year at 25 to multiple millions, where we're at 3 to 4-ish million now, and where, if God wills, it will hit $1 million a month by the time I'm 27 this year, or a little bit after in December, is what I'm going to show you today, which is the detailed breakdown of how to build scalable sales teams. So just a bit more picture. You might have seen this on my old content, but this was where I was at 21. Again, $1,000 left after all the failed businesses. You can't really see this, but these were all of the clients that I would call. And there's a reason why I'm repeating certain things. I'm showing you volume, because volume is going to be necessary to this, to the foundation of what you're going to try and build. This is the apartment I used to live in when I was 21, Melbourne Uni. This is my bed. I just had a big whiteboard, the goals for the gym, the business, etc. And I would, paste, me speaking on TED Talks and X amount of money in the bank and where I wanted to live. And I would say 70% of these things ended up becoming a reality. You're going to need to record your journey. And I'm showing you this on purpose because the more you can document, even how you talk now when you're pitching your clients or your customers, the easier it will be for you guys to use the system that I'm going to give you. I have recordings of calls from when I was 20 to 23. I'm talking like 10,000 plus calls recorded. And I wasn't even doing like consistently 30K a month back then, right? But if you guys start that now, as your business is on the come up, it'll be very beneficial. So this is the kind of reality that we're used to now. A bad day, quite frankly, is less than 10K a day during the weeks. Saturdays and Sundays, not most of our clients are super active. Of course, that's revenue, not profit. Profit's the real deal. But yeah, that's 50K a week, and we did more the last week prior. This was literally back in July. We're doing more now in August, obviously. This is kind of what a couple, 3 days would look like on Stripe. 10K there, 5K there, 4K, 3K, etc. And again, this is just off agencies' monthly recurring revenue. This is not consulting. This is not people buying like a little sales course. This is just my service business, right? So this is real. I already talked to you about the vision. So to kind of show the further projection, what I'm going to show you will not only help you make your first $1 million if you actually do it, but might even get you to the 8-figure level over a span of 1 to 2 years. Our goal next year, and my head of operations and head of sales knows this, is actually to get to a couple million a month. We just say $1 million a month because you rather manage the team's expectations, Okay, so let's get into it. How do we break it down? Stop. This sounds really contradictory, but just listen to the overall ethos. Stop trying to find great salespeople. Build a system that creates them. Now, a lot of people are going to disagree with that. But if you focus on building a culture, a machine that takes even, and I'm not saying you want to hire 3 out of 10 salespeople, but if you have a system that can take a 3 out of 10 to like a 7 out of 10, then you're not having to be involved in the business all the time because the culture is so freaking strong, right? So the old model, especially in Australia with tall poppy syndrome, by the way, and I think this has deteriorated, only 4% of Australian businesses make over $1 million a year revenue. So if there's 100 people in a room, only 4 of them are doing $1 million revenue, right? So you can't do what everyone else is doing to get a different result. It's just law. So a lot of people will find one superstar. They hope they stay and they become dependent on them. Does that sound familiar? Like that kind of it? Yeah? Okay. What we found works. Recruit, train, measure, coach, promote, repeat. Recruit, train, measure, coach, promote, repeat. Day in, day out. I don't care about your ego. I don't care where you used to work. I really don't care. Just, can you buy into this culture? Will you do the numbers? If you do the numbers, you will win. And I will want to promote you. My head of sales in the recent month, he made around $9,000 to $10,000. He's in the Philippines. He sells better than all of the Aussie closers that I've ever hired. He will be making anywhere between 100 to 300K this year. And he's in the Philippines. Okay, so like, this works. The 5 levers. So 1 is maths, and that's where there's a bit of AI. I'm going to show you guys how we use AI. 2 is people. 3 is management, 4 is psychology, and then 5 is data AI. So for example, say you wanted to get to 10K a month. And you guys can use your phones, by the way, if you want. This is going to be recorded on YouTube, but you guys can use your phones. It's chill. If your goal is 10K a month, question, go ahead. Yeah, you can. You guys can use your phones, take photos, all good. So maths, if your goal is say 10K a month and your average, let's use an example. What's your average client's retainer? $4,999. Okay, cool. So about 5K. Cool. And if you don't mind me asking, what's the range of revenue at the moment? Cool. What's your current MRR, roughly speaking? It can be a range. It's okay. 10 to 20. Cool. Okay. So what would a goal be, say, by this time next year? 100K. Okay, cool. So what you would need to figure out is if you're at, say, 10, let's just say worst case 10, how do you 10x mathematically what you're doing? Now, a lot of people are like, well, Dami, that sounds very, very simple, but obviously that's harder said than done. That's true. How many calls or how many leads do you have to get for you to get your 10 to 20K on average per month? Like how many leads do you get into your business?
If we say for the cold leads, then there is 1 to 2% of conversion.
Okay.
When we're talking about the paid ones, then we have a ratio of around 20%.
Okay. So you close 20% of the paid leads. Perfect. For Meta. Awesome. Okay. So if I was in your shoes, and this is me with retrospect, because back then I would just do it the hard way, I would try, if Meta ads was my thing, I would probably try to create a relationship with like Amex, literally. Or I'd try to create with Amex or some sort of bank, and I would see if I could get a line for the amount of money that was giving you the amount of clients that you're getting now, and just put that on that card to scale it up. Like, correct. But that's if ads is working for you. For me, it wasn't ads, right? So we got to 40K a month with a similar industry of cold calling, and then we started using ads. But anyway, you guys will need to just figure out what your mats is. After that, you need to document what you do, and you need to find someone else that can do it. Scary. By the way, they will fuck it up. They will fuck it up very badly for the first week, 2 weeks, month, and you'll be like, oh, it's hurting my reputation, or these leads cost money. But again, if you're trying to build a scalable business, remember only 4% of businesses make over $1 million a year in Australia. That's a scary stat, right? So in order to do that, you can't rely on yourself. You can't. I'm telling you that because I tried. And I ended up in nearly hospital twice before 24, not because I wasn't healthy. I was an athlete, played in the States, but it's because I was overworking. You're one human. You need an army, right? After that, it's management. So once you find even one really good salesperson or two really good salespeople, get them to document everything. Now, what you find is, and I'll talk about the personality types and even things like IQ a little bit shortly. The really, really good salespeople, they tend to be really, really high ADHD. So they're not going to always update the CRM. Josh is smiling. Josh knows what I'm talking. They're not going to update the CRM all the time. They're not going to record all their calls all the time. So it's your job as the owner to forcefully attach Gemini to every call that they do. Ask them what happened, just in case they forgot. Record their calls for them. Jump on their call for an hour without the screen on so they don't get distracted and they don't try to depend on you as the owner to close the deal, even if it gets awkward. And the client tries to be like, hey, can you answer this? Oh, sorry, here's the head of sales. Whatever he says goes. Even though you're the one that actually owns Stripe. Like you have to really train them to record everything, because once you get to 3, I promise you, $1 million doesn't look that hard anymore. $1 million doesn't look that hard anymore. It becomes now a game of group psychology. And that's what we're going to talk about, gamification. The biggest businesses in the world gamify everything. Meta, remember poking on Meta? You like had a crush on somebody, you're trying to poke them, nonchalant, you know, like everything is gamified. Even blue colors, when you get a ding on your phone. Why is Siri and Alexa a female voice? Because when we're in utero, we're in our mother's tummy, female voices relax us more than male voices. Everything is gamified. Once you can cross these 3, you can get to $1 million. Here, these 4 and 5, that's what has gotten us to multiple millions. And I dare say, if we keep going at the rate we're going, that's what will get us to 8 figures as well. Any questions before I go into more depth? Yep.
What was the time frame between management psychology, that gap between management psychology? How would you say in your developmental years?
Yep. First of all, psychology is used in everything, but it's the degree to which the psychology is used. So what I probably should have put is group psychology. Now, how long did it take me to get really, really good at level 1 and 2? I'm a bit of a slower learner, to be honest with you. I'm happy to admit that. And I know that might sound ironic and I'm trying to be humble. I'm being real. I've had this business for 7 years, right? So I would say math and people, maybe also because I was a bit young, maybe not super mature, probably took me 4 years. But I started at 19. I was a teenager. If I started at 25, it could be very different. I have friends that I've shown how to start their own agency. They got to 30K a month in a year. I have friends that make 100K a day.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And when you started, how much were you?
At 19, for the first 3 months, $0. Sorry?
Yeah, that first 1 year.
The first 1 year in business, I made maybe 40 to 50K, which is actually not bad, to be honest, at 19, I have to say. I'm not gonna lie. During COVID as well. After that, year 2 was pretty much like half of that, because COVID was really in the thick of it. I wasn't skilled enough to keep the business afloat, so I started working for others. Year 3, year 4, probably first 100K a year in revenue. And 2023, 2024, 200, 300K a year. 2025, $1 million. So last year we made our first $1 million. This year, even if we stopped growing, we'll probably clear 4-ish million if we stopped growing right now. I'll be very upset if we stop growing. If we keep growing, we'll probably end the year with 6 or 7 million, but we'll end the year at 800 to 1.2 million a month revenue. That's just based on numbers. Yeah.
The reason I'm asking is because I've only been running my business for going into the 2nd year now.
Congrats.
Thank you. But I guess one thing that I found hard to track is just the earnings and just keeping. Like you said, one thing that you mentioned was you can't do everything by yourself. And I guess keeping track of everything, financial like records, and just like I guess sales coming in and out. And I guess that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, so your question would be, I guess, a little bit different to the topic, but it's an easier solution. If I were you, AI, finance stuff, literally create something called a GPT. So on ChatGPT, you can create a GPT. And you'd be like, I want you to be my chief financial officer. That's what I was doing before I actually had a chief financial officer. I want you to be my chief financial officer. I'm going to show you the last X amount of 1 to 2 years or months of how much revenue we're doing. Can you please create the code for some sort of Excel spreadsheet that can track my income and outflows? And then you can give it to Claude. And this is recorded, by the way. You can watch this video. Claude has a cleaner UX, so like a design interface. And then Claude can actually make it like a bit of a product for you to use. And ChatGPT can write the code for you. That's what I'd recommend. But your focus at your stage, just like many of us in this room, is more clients, better clients. That's the main focus. Even if the ATO is not going to come for you yet. Heavy. You.
In terms of, obviously you said that it's good to find people who like you have ADHD because it makes it easier for them. But in terms of finding people to work with and put your faith into, what are other qualities that you look into when it comes to trusting people with your, like, because this is your baby, this is your business. Like, how do you find those people to trust?
Yep. I've actually got a slide for specifically that question, but it's later on. So I'll answer it succinctly. You have to become worthy of getting higher level people to work for you. That's actually why I think, to Shan's point, I was actually stuck at level 1 and 2 for 4 years because I'd read all the books. I'd read the same books as yourself. I went to the courses. I'd met Gary Vee, Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone. Like I met all of them by like 20, by brute force, similar to what you were doing, Josh. Like with your different things. That's why I respect what you're doing, by the way, because I know how hard it is. Yeah. But at a certain point, like I remember I hired one of Ty Lopez. I mean, yeah, it should be fine now. It was years ago. I hired one of Ty Lopez's copywriters part-time. And she was in Tasmania because I just wanted like to get access to her brain. And no matter how much I paid her and like it was stretching me like financially, she was just like not trying. She just wasn't trying. And it wasn't that she wasn't skilled, she just wasn't trying. And now she like likes all my LinkedIn posts. Like, I'm so proud of you, Dami. Like, where was this energy when I was 23? And I didn't have money, like for you to afford a high salary. Where was this effort then? So you have to have the character of the leader influences the culture of the people. So you have to just level up. That's the first answer. The second answer is they need to be able to see you in the trenches. So my head of sales, his name is James in the Philippines. He knows at the end of the day, even if it's a Saturday, and I'm not saying this is healthy, but this is what I maybe need to improve on as a young CEO, because I've got a lot of things I'm improving too. But he'll know if there's a big client, like $1 billion client, or like a 9-figure client that wants to sign up Sunday, 2 a.m., he knows I'll pick up the phone. I'm not saying that's healthy, by the way, but he just knows that Dami is that accountable for the growth of this company. He's actually said to me multiple times this year, bro, let's get this company to $1 billion. I've never told my team that $1 billion is a goal, because literally we just made our first million last year. I'm like, all right, relax a little bit, right? But he's seen how fast we're growing. He remembers when I was the only appointment setter, he was there. And I was generating 5 appointments a day, just me, and doing the demos and running the company. To now when he was doing the demos, to now when he was appointment setting, to now where we have 30 sales reps across the world, and we're aiming to get to 50 by the end of this month, which is why we should be averaging 200 appointments a day by the end of this month. Otherwise, someone will have to get fired, right? So he's seen that progression. So the bigger you can show your team how much you're willing to get in the weeds, the easier it is for them to follow your lead. A good question. All right. So for you guys, what does 50 appointments a day look like? Like I said, it's a math problem. What you want to do, so the average Australian SaaS company, actually, ironically, the average Australian sales team that's decent, they'll usually get people to aim for, you'd be surprised. Actually, let's do a guess game. My friend, how many appointments do you think the average small business in Australia tells their sales team to aim for? How many appointments should they aim to book a day or a week? Have a number. 10, 20. Okay, 10, 20 a week? One person. 50? Okay. 50? No, it's okay. So 50. So that's 50 would be 10 a day for one person. How about yourself? How many if you were a sales rep at Fabi, if you want to get that. What's up, bro? Going good. Grab a snack, man. Snacks behind you. You guys can grab one as well. So how about yourself? If you were a sales rep at a small business, what do you think the average Australian standard is for appointments booked a week?
I'll say around 50, 60 as well.
50, 60. Okay, cool. You guys are high achievers. I like it. Okay. Sean, how many do you
I think it depends on what industry you're in, but I would say 50, 60. But I think it comes down to the culture of the business sales team. So I don't know. On average, I say we'll do like in Australia, I say 30 bows.
30.
That's the
Okay,
average. I think.
cool. So the average Australian business, what do you think their average KPI is for one sales rep per week in terms of appointments booked? And I'll tell you the stat, but I just want to gauge.
Anywhere from 30 to 40 probably.
Okay. This is going to make you guys feel way more relaxed, okay? This is why Australia, like, we can make it. You just have to do the numbers. Usually it's 1 or 2 a day. That's the standard. That is the standard. I used to see a girl, and she worked at one of these SaaS companies, and like, I hope they get the job. I'm not gonna lie. She was attractive. Anyway, so like, her KPI was 1 booked appointment a day. This was like at a company in the CBD, like a respected. I was like, 1 a day. What the fuck? When I worked there 5 years ago, the standard was 3 a day, right? Which is actually, but you only had to make 40 calls a day. And that was the second fastest growing tech company in the world. So what I'm going to push you guys to focus on, and I'll show you how we did it, because we do it, is how you can get one sales rep to spit out 5 a day. It's all thinking. All of it is thinking. So by the time you get 10 sales reps and they're doing 5 a day, 50 a day. 50 times 5 days in a week is 250. That's 1,000 appointments a month. 1,000 appointments a month, I think, would change any of your businesses permanently for life, right? Okay. So, still on maths. You got to diagnose before you prescribe. So a lot of people in Australia, they have difficulty, especially because of tall poppy syndrome, with the psychology of cold calling. You can relate, right? So I would say COVID, cold calling was still something that was very uncomfortable. By the way, I think speaking on stage, so the top 3 fears in the world, I think it's fear of dying, arachnophobia, and then it's like speaking on stage. Crazy. So speaking on stage beats heights. Fucked, right? The standards, right? So like, after COVID, I literally did see an increase in people being scared to cold call. Anytime there is something that people are running away from, you should try and run towards it all the time, right? I know literally a company that's in Forbes Club in Australia that we do more revenue on, by the way. That just shows you how, bureaucratic and how networky Australia is. I'm just showing you guys that it's not everything is as it seems. And some of you guys might actually know this owner that I'm talking about. But she has a well-known agency, comes from a wealthy family, and part of her offer is literally cold calling doesn't work anymore. I'm like, we just did like 1,400 appointments of cold calling. It's not true. So the first thing that you need to teach your team and yourselves how to do is do a shit ton of dials. You have to get desensitized to dials. Now, how many is going to be dependent on your industry, generally speaking. Alex Hormozy talks about the rule of 100. I like that. I think that's very simple. I think it's memorable. I think 100 is good. For me, when I was most desperate, I was doing 200 a day by myself. But that again was me full-time, doing my own business, wasn't playing basketball anymore, wasn't working for anyone. If you're working for someone, while I was working as head of sales for that startup when I was in my early 20s, I would do maybe 60 to 80 a day, right? But you've got to get consistent because remember, data and the maths, that's what allows it to be predictable. Low connection rate, usually that's a data, timing, or market issue. I'll give you an example. Restaurants. When I started in fact, out of the 1,000+ clients that I've served, I would say 20% of them are probably restaurants. People don't know that. They think it's probably NDIS. They think it's probably like e-com because we're really good at SEO and stuff like that. And we have 8-figure e-com clients. 9-figure, like we do, fine. But restaurants are actually where I got my start in the agency world. I started to realize, okay, end of the year and start of the year, these guys will pick up my calls. Hey, sir, it's Dami. How are you? Look, you don't know me, but I know your other Italian restaurant that's across your street, and we're doing this for him. Are you in the restaurant today? I'll just show you exactly how we got him an extra 10 bookings. You don't have to say yes to what I'm going to share with you, but just say yes to me meeting you in person. Fair enough? Boom. Book that shit and drive. And like, you have to get a pattern. And what happens is once you get a pattern, you realize certain industries have certain friction at certain parts of the year. I don't call restaurants in the middle of the year. Well, I don't need to call anymore because you have a team. But I don't call restaurants in the middle of the year because I know that end of the year, start of the year, that's the best. So for example, if you're in automotive, for the most part, that's all year. Someone's always going to have something that's going to break down. SaaS as well. If you're a business to business kind of SaaS software, again, there's going to be ebbs and troughs. You can look at Google Trends and figure out what's popular in that industry, right? You can also go on ChatGPT, Claude. There's so many things you can do, and you can even create like a little bot. This is not an AI conversation. That will be in November. But you can use little tools for essentially for free to figure out what the pattern is in your industry. What we do in my company is we have 3 channels in Slack. One is called Healthcare Data Center. One is called Finance Data Center, and one is called Hospitality Data Center. And that's where my AI engineer basically gets us live updates every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from the industry. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we know what's popping, what's not, and we can adjust our language. I suggest that you guys do the same thing. That's free game. High connects, low bookings. Usually that is a conversation or a script training issue. Again, that's why I showed you guys. Some of you guys might have missed it, but I have calls recorded from me pitching. It's actually scary. I remember pitching in South Yarra 5 years ago in my dad's clothes because I couldn't afford my own because my 4th business failed or whatever. And I couldn't close the deal. But I was recording everything, but I wasn't listening to my recordings. So what was the point of all the recordings? Right? High bookings, low show rate, qualifications. So you mentioned that you hate when people don't show. Who else has had it where you do a lot of bookings but people don't show up for appointments? Yep. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty common, and that's ironically a better problem to have because that means they're probably doing the right thing tonality-wise and kind of getting the right emotions activated, but they're probably not bridging the logic. So when you're selling, you're getting people to buy emotionally, but to justify logically. So you've got to hit both, right? High shows, low sales. That is usually an offer issue. So that's where, again, people like Hormozy or Alex Becker, like when they're talking about offer is the king. Offer is the king. And again, it's not a sales conversation today. It's just you guys understanding how to diagnose once you're starting to build those SDRs up, how to diagnose different bottlenecks that will appear that will prevent you from hitting your first 100K month in new business. Just to be clear, in new business. Okay, this is really important. This is people. Before I get to people, any questions so far? Yep.
Would you go into a script that you use for cold call?
Yeah, you want me to go into the script?
Yeah, I'm asking. Is it somewhere in the slides?
Not for this presentation because I'm showing, the goal is to show you guys how to build your own team to 50 appointments a day, but I'll give you one. I'll show you one.
Let's say give you a scenario
Sure.
and see what you do on that. So let's say you're talking to $1 million CEO, okay?
Yeah.
And you're pitching them SEO. They're already doing marketing of some sort, but
Yep.
they're not active on SEO yet.
Cool.
What would you do? And let's say it's a commercial builder.
Okay, commercial builder. Cool. All right, so you're the commercial builder?
Yes.
Okay. Cold call?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Who's this?
Yeah, it's Dami.
Dami who?
Dami Okedara.
Okay.
Dami, who you already know me. Look.
Pattern interrupt.
Wait, hold on. You don't know me. Don't pattern interrupt me. Yeah, you don't know me. Yeah, look, mate. I'm just do you know Johnson's commercials? They're across the street from you guys. Yeah, I'm not sure if you know this, but they're on the first page of ChatGPT. I couldn't find you guys there. I'm not sure if that's important, but is that something that you guys wanted to fix, or you'd prefer to just not be seen in ChatGPT?
Possibly.
Possibly. Look, mate, look, I know you're probably busy. You're on the tools. I can hear the trucks in the background. Look, I work with a bunch of people getting them featured in ChatGPT and Gemini. Have you heard of Google, by the way, before? Yeah. Okay, well, look, Monday next week, I'll have about 15 minutes and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing for Johnson's commercial building. You might not like what I'm going to show you, but I think there might be some synergy here. Are you a morning guy or afternoon guy? Okay, 10 a.m. or is 9 a.m. better for you? Okay, well, what's your best email? I'll get my executive assistant to flick an invite for 10 a.m. Is that fair enough? Fair. Okay, cool. By the way, before I leave you, what other competitors do you want to rank above just between you and I? 4. Okay, all right. Look, I'll book you in. I look forward to potentially supporting you. We'll chat on Monday. Okay, ciao. Bye-bye. Yeah, okay. Scripts change depending on the industry. So automotive, when I was selling at Podium, used car dealers, they don't want you to sound preppy. They don't want you to sound like you have money. They're very brash. They'll say fuck off in 2 seconds if you sound too salesy. But an NDIS provider, they want you to sound like a consultant. Yeah, I work with X Medical, and you sound, like you have to adapt. But the used car guys, mate, look, your Google reviews are shit. You want to get an extra 50 Google reviews. Am I right or am I wrong? Okay, well, look, Johnson's used dealers, I hate them. I hate them as well, but they've got more reviews than you. What are you doing? After you.
So if you bring up the fact that you're working with their competitor, you hope their competitor rank highest, isn't there sort of alarm bell in the head of, well, we've been ranked higher, you're them, and so when you work in the same industry across multiple clients,
Yep.
how do you balance all of that?
Yep, when you're starting up, you need to create not fake, but legitimate scarcity. So what we used to do when we were smaller is we'd legitimately, and legitimately is keyword, because I know a lot of us are marketers, but we have to be like legit on this one. Legitimately would be like 5 people in your area we work with at a time. So be like, look, we're already working with these guys. We have 3 other slots left, legitimately. And how you still give yourself something called TAM, total addressable market, which is like more people that you can serve. Once you get 5 in one location, go to another state. Cold call another state, Sydney, and then call West Melbourne, and then North Melbourne. So you can pick the confine, but you need to create a confine. That's how you can justify referencing their competitor. Yeah.
Some people say like 1 person.
Well, it depends on the business. Like if like again, it depends on the business. Like if you have a cosmetic clinic, well, there's injectables, and then there's, skin treat. So there's different services, so you can even niche it down to the service. So that's the cool thing about business. There's no rules, but the hard thing is there's no rules. So the same way you can get an advantage is the same way someone can screw you over and make sure you have $0. So create that scarcity, but it has to be legitimate, because once it's legitimate, in terms of the frequency chart, one of the highest vibrations is authenticity. So when I'm doing my live calls on Friday and I'm purposely being a little bit more like ADHD neurotic, I'm like moving around in the chair, that's naturally who I am. But obviously as a CEO of like a multi-million-dollar company, I can't be doing that to my ops manager because she would get like nervous. Like my boss is unstable. You know what I'm saying? So like you gotta create that real scarcity. Yeah. Any other questions before I talk about people? Cool. This part is crucial, and a lot of people screw this up. I screwed this up for probably 5 years. No matter how many books, I read Simon Sinek, I read over 100 books by the time I was 21, right? And over 30 courses online. I didn't have money for them. I found them all free. You can torrent them. I'm not supposed to say this, but like you can torrent them for free off Reddit. I tried, like for real. So this you can only really learn by doing it. So take this with a pinch of salt. This is the general pathway for a sales rep. And by the way, these sales reps, I would advise that you guys use a platform called onlinejobs.ph. Now, I know some of you guys already use that platform, but onlinejobs.ph is where majority of our SDRs are. We do have SDRs that we're looking for at the moment, actually in Nigeria and Ghana, and we're about to start hiring some SDRs in the US. For most of you, to get 50 appointments a day, use onlinejobs.ph. Saves you a lot of money. I'm talking like you guys could be potentially spending $1,000 to $3,000 Australian to generate 50 appointments a day. One Australian staff member that's generating 1 or 2 appointments a day costs $6K a month. Perspective. So I'm showing you an affordable way to do this, and you don't have to go straight away to $1,000 a month. You can start with $100 AUD a month. They start as an SDR. An SDR is a sales development representative, promote them to a senior SDR. That usually just means a higher base salary, but a higher base salary with a higher KPI. So if the initial KPI is 5 appointments a day, this one can be 7 appointments a day. Just something slight. Because remember, the more they practice, the more data you have, the more you record, the more you can repeat. Team leader. This is where you can start to create some leverage. A team leader should oversee an SDR and a senior. Above a team leader is a divisional lead. So a divisional lead is someone, for example, a divisional lead is someone that has 2 team leaders underneath them, SDR and senior SDR. So divisional lead for us, for example, as we're expanding into the US, can be someone that's regional, a divisional lead for SDRs US, divisional lead for SDRs Australia, divisional lead for SDRs, South America.
So it might sound stupid, but the team leaders,
Yeah.
so they are just managing or they are hitting the KPIs as well, and it would be a little lower than the normal ones.
Yeah.
So are they just pure for management, or they making the calls in the trenches too?
Really good question. So the team leader should have already been able to have been an SDR and a senior. That's number one. So they should have enough skill where they could do both. Their primary focus, from what we've seen, is they should be focusing more on coaching rather than being in the trenches. They can deal with the most difficult calls, let's just say, or they can maybe become what's called a strategic SDR. So in some corporate companies, there'll be a strategic SDR that will call like corporates. So SMBs will be for the juniors, and then seniors will handle bigger SMBs, and then team leaders maybe will handle like multi-locations, etc. But their main job is to coach. That's what I found is the best. Now the tool that we use, and I use different tools as we went on, so you guys can take a note on this, or you can just watch the video when it goes up on YouTube next week. When I was starting out, I used a cold calling platform. This is not the one I want you guys to use, but I initially used a platform called Kixie. Kixie. It's an American dialer. And this helped me get to my first 80K a month when I was 25, because instead of me having to go on Google Business, slot it in, go on Google Business, do it, Kixie, we could load it up the night before, and then as soon as the call was done, it just goes to the next one. That's how I could pound out my 200 dials a day. Because it just, it was like 3 hours of real lock-in. Could actually get the job done, because not everyone picks up the phone. Contacts from Google My Business of the niche that I wanted to attack that day or that week. What you can do is you can also hire a virtual assistant to do this for you. You can use AI. I found that AI sometimes scrapes inaccurately, but again, you can obviously train it to scrape better. I'd still prefer, if I'm going to be spending my time, because time is more important than money, I want to be spending my time, I'd rather hire a VA to scrape the leads. Now, Kixie is what I used prior when I was the only dialer. We then graduated to Go High Level. You guys heard of Go High Level? Yep, use it. Anyone else use Go High Level? No? I'd advise all of you that aren't in SaaS to use Go High Level. You can create landing pages there. There's booking integrations there. It's somewhat expensive for a monthly subscription, but it's an all-in-one system. It has a CRM. It has a lead management system. So imagine combining Salesforce with Calendly and then being able to make calls. That's Go High Level. And you can create landing pages there. So you're incorporating ClickFunnels as well. We deliver for our clients with ClickFunnels, and we run our company largely off ClickFunnels as well. And then we use ClickUp for client management, but we're not talking about client management today. The dialer that we use now is called AirCall. That's something that you guys should take into account. A lot of the biggest companies in the world use AirCall. The reason why we like AirCall is because, and this is really, you don't need this now, but this is some advanced stuff. People use AI callers, AI agents for cold calling. Look, it can work. I think I'm fortunate. Again, I'm thinking, well, the average Aussie here has to set 1 or 2 appointments a day. And if the AI agent is worse than that, I don't want them, because my guys book 5 a day. So that's my logic stream. But this is where it gets cool, and this is where people will pay us and stuff. If you're running all the data through AirCall, every single call is recorded, and it brings you a breakdown of the AI notes of the cold call. So then you can give that to the AI agent. So now the AI agent is learning from exactly from exactly. What's up, boss? The AI agent is learning from what made your team successful. It's not learning from, trash assumptions with a fake voice or whatever. It's able to be like, okay, after looking at this sequence of conversations, this use of tonality, and then what our guys, what our tools, now think about it mathematically. If we generated 1,400 appointments last month and we made 44,000 cold calls, what that really is in layman's terms is 44,000 data points. So if we get, and we better, because otherwise, I'll be frustrated. If we start spitting out, if last month in new clients, that brought in an extra 100K a month in new clients, and this month the KPI for the team is an extra 200K a month, you guys kind of get where the maths is going, right? If by the end of the year, say we missed the goal and we ended up at 600K a month revenue, boohoo, 600K a month, still great. Like, we will get, in 1 month, at least 200,000 call data points that we can give to Aircall. So now if we're like, okay, now we'll test an AI agent, here is 200,000 data points. It'll probably sound like my head of sales. Data. Everything is maths. Once they get past divisional lead, that's when you can start having a head of sales. Guys, I'm very passionate, but I'm not a big crier in life. Like when Kobe Bryant died, I cried. When like personal friends maybe passed away, I cried. Otherwise, I don't really cry, whatever, even if I broke my leg. Once you have a head of sales, guys, and they can run a sales team without you guys, oh my days, man. I promise you guys, you will feel emotions of, you'll sleep better, man. Like it's worth it. So I'm telling you guys, onlinejobs.ph, hire an SDR, make sure that they have a high KPI. 5 a day is not that hard. It's really not that hard. The Australian standard is just low, okay? I've heard Grant Cardone gets his guys to call 300. Grant Cardone caps sometimes, so I don't believe it really exists. But he says his guys call like 300, 500 people a day. I'm like, do you mean no pickups? Like 300, anyway. But senior SDR, team leader, that's really good. If you can get to team leader, talk to them every day. I'm gonna give you guys the frequency of how much you should talk to your SDRs in a second. Very important. Divisional lead is really good because now you can start to be like, this person calls the Queensland people and they lead the Queensland team. By the way, at this point, you're probably spending less than $1,000 a month on your whole sales team, up to team leader. Yes. One SDR, 2 SDR juniors can cost 200 AUD with onlinejobs.ph. Senior SDRs can maybe cost 150. A team leader, if you want to pay them really well, you can give them a base of 350 plus comms, right? Because you can even, for everything, remember in business, there's no rules. But because there's no rules, they can also leave your company, right? So this position, get them to prove themselves to you to keep their job. This position, higher base, more, what's the word I'm looking for? More security. I'm going to talk about the different principles of human motivation in a second. Team leader, that's where, okay, I'm happy to pay you. What do you think? You give them some autonomy. Where do you think the company should go? My head of sales that made nearly 10K last month from the Philippines, again, just reminding you, right? I let him decide for me, bro, what do you want to do with the sales team? What do you want the KPI to be? 200K a month, bro. Okay, why 200K a month? I just challenge him. I just ask why. He's like, because he's going to think, okay, for himself, what comms can he get? How can he get 20K a month? That's his goal. He'll get there by October. In the Philippines, just mind you. But he's also going to think, okay, but he's got people underneath him. There's 25 to 30 SDRs, 4 closers. If his closing team doesn't do well, he gets less comms. I'm asking him why. So this person, really sometimes they can jump to there because sometimes really good salespeople doesn't mean they're good leaders. So these 2 roles are nuanced. And what I mean by nuanced is someone can be really, really good at sales. They just want to be focused in the trenches. Another one's a leader. Different people. Like I said, some really, really good salespeople are very ADHD, very gregarious. Gregarious means like very kind of like, vibey. I would say shifty, maybe some shifty, there definitely are some. But doesn't mean they're good leaders because the character of the leader influences the culture of the people, right? So a head of sales, you might not find that straight away, but once you're there, yeah, you should be well past $1 million a year. Any questions?
Yes.
Yep, go ahead.
So when you hire SDR, so you're saying 100 to 200, that's per month.
Sorry, repeat that.
For the SDR salary, you said $10 to $200.
Yeah.
That for a month.
So what I would say is for one SDR per month, yeah, 100 to 150 AUD is enough.
How much are they working for you every day?
Well, that's a good question. I focus on incentive. So let me rephrase that. I focus on the goal. So this is again, maybe me being a bit of a Gen Z CEO. My ops manager, she's like Casey, like you know Casey. She's we're like yin yang. I've kind of learned to be a bit more balanced, but she's very like anal about, they didn't hit their 150 calls, they didn't hit their 120 calls today. I'm like, chill, it's all good. And then I'll be like, good cop, guys, okay, like, what's going on? Because they maybe hit like 80 or 70. But if they got their sets, like, and it's a one-off or they've had 1 or 2 bad days, but they've still got their sets, when you're starting out, I'm looking strictly at output. And output does mean dials, but the thing is, like I said, like 200 calls sounds like a lot, but if you have a dialer, really that's 3 hours of really intense lock-in, from what I found, right? And that takes practice, it doesn't happen right away. So I wouldn't advise that you focus strictly on the amount of hours they're working for you. I actually would say that's almost employee mindset. I would shift to what am I getting from their effort? Yeah. So this is currently what my team looks like, the breakdown. So we have James, he's my head of sales. We actually have, this is slightly outdated, we have 4 team leaders. Each team leader, as of this month, I think, has 7 to 8 SDRs underneath them. And some of our team leaders are like regional as well. It's a bit, yeah, we have a blend because a lot of our people are cross-functional. So we have 1 head of sales, and we've got other closers, but we're not talking about the closers today, we're talking about SDRs. 4 team leaders. By the end of this month, we're going to have 10 SDRs under each team leader. And then our juniors, hit 5, stretch is 7. Our senior setters, ignore that, but senior setters, they actually also book for our clients as well. So our offer, if you guys are probably wondering like what our main offer is as an agency, yes, we do SEO, yes, we do Facebook ads, Google ads, websites, all that stuff. Our main thing is we generate leads and we book them for people. So we solve 2 functions, right? So a lot of people just do marketing. Our angle is, look, like these marketing guys, they just do marketing. What if we actually like got something in your calendar like today? Would that be worth chatting about? Like that's a different angle. And it's worked for us. But if it's not broke, don't fix it. So if you guys have something that's working and you're an agency guy, stick with it, but also try this. Like I'm literally saying try this because this is, in this season, that's what's worked for us. But I'm also going in December, like I said, to India, talk about SEO. So you got to be adaptive. Like that's business, right?
So is that part of your service? You call for the client?
Absolutely.
And is that completely separate from your 40 people of SDRs in your own team doing sales for yourself?
So,
Marketing, so what do you call it? Business development for yourself?
So our junior setters, so this is our business model. Our junior setters are the ones that got us 110 appointments yesterday, just the juniors. But the seniors, they book for our clients.
More experience now? So
Exactly. Because they already know 5 sets. For them, 5 sets a day is like, I know it sounds ridiculous, by the way, like because the Australian standard's so low. But who are you comparing yourself to? You know? So yeah, their goal is to actually do 7 client appointments a day. And that's harder because their client might be an NDIS participant and they need to book for a provider that's not a good provider. So they're like trying to be like, okay, like how do I get this provider that has 0 participants, that has never dealt with a disabled person before, to politely deal with this person that has level 3 autism, that's 59, and doesn't want to come out of the house. And it's all recorded. So they know, so yeah, our senior setters, I would dare say, are better than 90% of the salespeople in Australia. And I'm saying that because I've hired Aussies and they can't compete with my guys overseas. And we have Aussies still, yeah.
So for the clients that you're calling for, is it like purely just cold calls or it's a mix of marketing and cold calls?
So for the clients, most people, they need both. So that's why I said I've worked with most, if not all of your industries except yours. Like cosmetic clinic, if we have to find a leads list and we try to make it happen, we'll do it. We also will maybe run Facebook ads for them. For most of our clients, we'll run Facebook ads. Say it's a junk removal client in Werribee. Run the Facebook ads, boom, we'll call them within like 2 to 5 minutes, speed to lead, we book it for him. But if he's having a slow week, then we'll try to get creative. Yeah.
So for most service-based businesses, your team are calling out the leads as soon as they submit a form?
I'd say 70% of our clients, we do the bookings for them. Yeah, which helps us charge more. It's a golden nugget, try it. What I would say is you also have to audit your salespeople if you're going to do that, because say you start growing really quickly and you get 10 clients doing that pathway. If the salespeople said the wrong thing, the client will blame you, not your salespeople. And yes, that, got me in trouble when I was younger. Yeah, especially for bigger clients. We had a $1 billion client. Got a good relationship with them now, but at one point it was not good and I was quite scared. Anyway, so management, level 3. Don't build a team that depends on you. So again, this is what you want to graduate towards eventually. SDRs, senior SDRs, team leader, head of sales, and the founder. Now, I'm still somewhat in sales, but I'm really not. Like, to be honest with you, I'm at a stage in my career where technically, I could basically do nothing all day and the company will still make money. Glory be to God that happened. But I'm still in the business to train, not my sales team. They've already got team leaders that are going to train them. Not my closers. They've already got a head of sales that will train them. It's me training my leadership level of my company, how to be better leaders. Because if at this point right now, I just started traveling to Dubai just to have fun, not do another game show and I've already lost my voice, and do probably 10 to 20 podcasts between Tanzania and Dubai this month, 10 to 20 podcasts, and I still haven't recovered. If they can't see me doing an extra level of like consciousness in the world, then they'll be like, okay, Dami must be cool. He's $4 million a year company. Fair enough. He's 26. I don't blame him. He'll probably get a Lambo and he'll probably forget about us. But if I'm playing offense, my head of sales, to be very clear, and I'm not saying you guys should do this, it's just my approach to business because I know I'm a bit more of an extremist. My head of sales makes more than me salary-wise on paper and even personally from my own company. For me, as long as I can pay my, sounds even cringe kind of saying this, but as long as I can pay my chef and also where I live, I don't really care. I just want the company to grow. I want to pay as many people, 8, 10K a month, just so we can like develop monster leaders that are used to eventually 1,000 appointments a day, which is what we want by the end of the year. Because I know 1,000 appointments a day is a 9-figure company. And that won't materialize into a 9-figure company straight away, but over 12 months of the volume getting closed. It's kind of inevitable. Because we went from, like I said, a year and a half ago, literally just below that 80K month, then we hit it, to now, like a run rate of around 4 mil, and that's if we stopped growing. So that wasn't, a lot changed quickly. Okay,
Can I ask a question?
of course.
How do you see a superstar employee
Mm.
and hire them and make sure they don't screw you over? Because that's,
Oh, good question.
how do you do that?
So he asked, how do you stop a superstar, Sabra? How do you stop a superstar employee from leaving and then like trying to basically become a competitor per se? Well, first of all, it's already happened to me. Like by the way, and most of you guys that have been in business for more than like 3 years, at some point, someone that you hire, a friend, and I got 20 stories of friends that I've known since I was 12 in high school. I gave them a restaurant in Brighton when we were still in the restaurants years ago. And I've known this guy, mind you, since I was 12. We were good friends. We listened to Kendrick Lamar together, Good Kid, Mad City, in the library at 12. I'm thinking, this is like a homie, like Vietnamese friend, 12 years. 12 years. I give him multiple clients. I give him like well-known Indian restaurants. Because at one point we worked at C9 Chocolate and Gelato, Fat Jacks. Who heard of Fat Jacks? They used to be my client, right? I've been around the block, right? I give him a nice client. He's like, yeah, Dami, thanks for the invoice. I'm finally at 3K a month. All thanks to you. Favors. I'm like, all good. Backdoored me. 12 years. He told me on his birthday, hey bro, can I call you? I'm like, yeah, sure. He wanted to use his birthday like that sympathy cushion. Unfollowed him like the next day. Like, it's all good. No disrespect. I don't hate you. Went to the same school as us. Like, it's what it is. And yes, I've had staff where I hired them. This one, ironically, was from the Middle East or Dubai. A good closer, had the tonality, mature, had the beard. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Hire him. This is when SEO was our biggest service, where we were doing like 30, 40, 50K a month, just after I interviewed Ty Lopez. And then, yeah, within like a month, he started his own SEO agency.
And
So,
part of my question was, how do you identify the superstars to hire them in the first place?
sure. I'll finish the answer. I just needed to give the stories for the content, to be honest. Yeah, to be honest. The end of that is you will get screwed over. That is business, but you become tougher. Now, how do you identify those people? Again, how good of a leader are you? So I hired an ops manager when I was 23. She left after a month. My ops manager now, she's worked with me for a year. We've had more difficult conversations with my recent ops manager than my old one. My ops manager has seen my company go from $500,000 a year to multiple millions a year. From 10K a week to 10K a day. So she's like, okay, am I probably smarter than Dami? I probably am. No, I mean for real, because she is really smart. Am I probably more organized than Dami? 100%. But am I like crazy enough to just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna go do a game show in Dubai, don't know anyone really there, because I want the company to get to $1 million a month now. I don't want to wait. I don't want 10K a day anymore because I want to keep spending more on stuff. She's probably not that risk tolerant, so she stays. So you have to become a better leader. Business will make you a better woman or a man because it reveals all of your insecurities every day. All of your insecurities. Go ahead.
I got a bit of a two-part question, all based on the last slide. In managing the architecture that you're talking about, and you transition to being a founder, the first part question was, when hiring different members overseas for these kind of roles, do you use similar criteria for the ones in Australia as well? And then my second question to that is, how much percentage-wise, if you're comfortable to share, of staff do you have within Australia that are overseas based?
Yeah. Sorry. One check. Criteria. So that's changed with time. So right now we have, I think, a head count of around 110-ish people across 7 countries. Out of those 110, I'd probably say 10 to 15% are in Australia. I would say 60 to 70% are in the Philippines. I would say another 10% would be in Africa. And I'd say the remainder would be split between Europe, and we used to have some in South America. At one point, it was 80% Australian, but they just weren't performing. It revealed to me that it doesn't really matter where you hire the people, it's how good the company culture is. So for example, say I didn't have 110 people in my company, and I had the Australian equivalent of 40 people, which is still a pretty big Australian company by Australian standards. If those 40 people are leading to less revenue than I'm doing now, then I'm just going to hire 110. So I would encourage thinking of around per employee, what is the output they're giving me, not the status of their title. And a lot of us, and that was something that I actually had to learn, because I had hired some people from Australia before off LinkedIn. LinkedIn, by the way, is still a good, where you hire them, the platform doesn't necessarily matter, the messaging is what matters. What's ironic is the same messaging that I'll use in an online jobs.ph ad for hiring SDRs, I'll use it on LinkedIn for the Aussies. But ultimately, the Aussies think, oh, like I've seen Dami's like game show podcast. I'll try and get hired through him through that. I'm like, cool, but you still have to meet my head of sales in the Philippines. And he has to think you're good enough. Because he is good enough. He closed last month by himself, 40 grand in new clients. One man. I would love an Aussie that can do that. But a lot of them can do that. It's just a smaller percentage if the culture is incorrect.
So when the head of sales, most of your customer base is based in Australia. I'm going to assume it could be around the world.
80-ish% is in Australia.
So how did you get to training him to be able to conduct himself with the Australian market?
Such a good question. Even our clients ask that question. Again, it comes down to the company culture and data. So he listened to me pitch like every day. So when I was still the only salesperson, he would jump on a demo. Actually, Mahawi would listen to this. James would jump on the call, listen to me do a pitch to an NDIS provider, listen to me pitch to a healthcare, a finance one, listen to me do one to it. We have tutoring, we're signing up a lot of tutoring companies now as well. Hear me pitch a tutor. The pattern would be the same, but the language is different. In healthcare, we talk about participants and patients. In tutoring, we talk about students, right? In finance, we talk about consumers. We talk about buyers, right? And sellers. So he listens to me. That's why you have to track everything that you're doing as early as possible. So you can then just create a library on School or Google Drive, give it to them. My sales team, when we're closing clients, I'm like, in a good way, and maybe this is part of personal development as well, I'm not super attached to the outcome of sales anymore. And it's not just because of how good our sales team is, it's because I know that, one, statistically, I'm in the top 1% of businesses in the country, just for pure revenue at 26. But the pain it took for me to get to that, I know the client that I'm pitching probably hasn't been through that much pain in his business life. So if I can give him 10 videos of just straight sales advice, here's how, this is how you put the 50 appointments, here's how you do 110, here's how you close 10 clients in a day without overdoing yourself, here's the different tonal patterns that have made me millions. If I can inject that belief into them, then it's really hard for them to say no, because it's now not only emotional, they've already caught the emotions that I've given them. Now it's like, well, logically it also makes sense because he's got what I want. So you have to be able to also train, you have to treat your staff almost like a client initially. Does that make sense? So you've got to be able to, I'm giving you so much value at this company. We're a startup, which means these new roles aren't even created yet. You could be doing these roles.
That include also teaching you how to generate leads as well? For the
Absolutely. Record Loom videos. Who's familiar with Loom? Loom? Cool. Loom videos on how you find leads. The most boring, how to create a contract. How to use ChatGPT. Record everything. Everything. How to deal with we have a channel in Slack. It's called Wins. And we're going to talk about gamification because that's probably the most important thing. I tend to ramble, so okay, we're going over time. That's good. We have a channel that just talks about good behaviors. Like that have helped us. So my team, they started seeing that I like to go to the gym like in the morning or at night, but I always walk at least, not always, but it was a phase where I was walking consistently for 30 to 45 minutes a day. So I would literally post in the Slack channel of like 50 people at the time. I've noticed like an autistic motherfucker. Walking is really good for my mental health. Next minute, me, my head of sales, all of us are doing calls. 5 of us on the calls are doing walking. And I'm like, that month sales didn't explode, but like it just kept us growing slightly, right? Character of the leader influences the culture of the people. So if you want to recruit the best, you got to become something that the best want to emulate. Oh, I forgot this slide. So recruiting is a funnel too. This is really important. So you can get the candidates from online jobs, LinkedIn, Facebook groups is cool as well. There can be hidden gems with Facebook groups. Group interviews, one-on-one interviews, I don't think they're a good use of time. Like if people are trying to work for you, I don't care if you're 19, I don't care if you're 90, I don't care if you're black, Asian, white, whatever, like do a group interview. They will feel, especially if it's not your first time, they'll be like, okay, Mr. Big Shot, like you've got all these random people, especially Aussies, let's be honest. And when I say Aussies, I mean as Australians, the tall poppy syndrome, it's like, who's this kid getting all of us 10 people with 10 years experience from Deloitte and all that on these group interviews? Fuck it, do it. Get all these guys on this call, run the call. They're looking for opportunity. The job market is tough right now. Let's be honest. Post-COVID has been hard. It's not easy. I have friends they've got the 99 ATARs, Melbourne Uni, used to play basketball Melbourne Uni. All these struggling to find jobs. It's a tough market. Drop the ego. Group interviews. After group interviews, meet and greet, talk briefly. Oh, actually, sorry, we're talking about SDRs. Group interview. Out of the group interviews, you're going to find, 3 or 4 people, especially if you're doing it by yourself at the start, that are going to be good fits. Usually you want to hire 2 to 3 people. The reason is because a really, really good SDR, and this is where you can identify the talent, a really, really good SDR doesn't take a month to prove themselves. A good salesperson, you can usually, from what we found, you can usually spot that in less than a week. That's why we're going to talk about gamification in a second. You want to usually bring on 2 or 3 people. Yes, at $100, $150, or $200, you name the price each. You give them the offer in documentation, have them sign it. Even if you're a startup and you have $0 in your company at the moment, get them to sign something. Start just practicing those professional things. So when you have 100 people, it's all documented. Everything should be documented. Onboard them Monday. You can onboard them other days of the week, but again, you know how people have the Monday scaries. You need to, humans are tribalistic and highly patterned. So you need to usually adopt normal patterns when you're starting out just to kind of get in like a flow. And then you can kind of be the eccentric millionaire that does things on Saturdays or whatever, but initially just stick to what people are used to. 30-day performance. Now, really, really good SDRs, if you've shown them how you sell, and if you've shown them the patterns that have worked for your business prior to them joining, within a week, the right ones will start getting appointments. I say that because for our team, most of our SDRs on their first day average 2 to 5 appointments. That's rare though. Like, and I've been doing this for 7 years, and it took time, right? But for us, I don't even have to get involved. My ops manager is like, this SDR has been here for a week and they only got 10 sets. I'm like, fuck, that's a high standard. I actually feel bad because they're probably good. Maybe they're just like nervous. But like if they don't pick up by like Wednesday, we're like, sorry. But initially, don't worry about that. Just bring on 2 or 3, onboard them, and then within the first 1 to 2 weeks, see who the best 2 are. The third one, if they're still not able to compete at a very close standard to the first 2, probably let them go, but open the door. Be friendly to everyone. Be friendly to everyone. Just by nature of you guys all, and by God willing, all of you will become extremely successful in this world. By nature of you becoming successful, people that you don't hire and other people in general, you'll have enough enemies just by you making it young. So don't create unnecessary enemies by not responding to someone or firing someone without being professional. Trust me, you'll have enough enemies just by making it young. Don't add more to it. I promise you guys that. Keep coach exit. What does coaching mean? Every morning, and this is what we do now, but you can do it at the start as well. Morning session, call reviews. So actually listen to the calls with your SDRs. Hey, this is what this call sounds like. What are your thoughts on this objection? It sounds like you got stumped here. What do you think you could have said? Dami, I think I could have said this, this, and that. Okay, great. It sounds like this led to an appointment booked. What do you think worked here? It was the upward tonality. It made them feel like they wanted to say yes. Okay, cool. Dami, what about this objection? I'm stuck on this one. When they say it's too expensive, okay, what do you think, Ken? You should respond to that objection. It's too expensive. I think if I said, okay, great. I think if someone says it's too expensive, you say it's completely expensive. I agree. Things are expensive. A car's expensive. A house is expensive. A wife is expensive. I'm not even married and I think a wife's expensive, right? Would it make sense to focus on the expense or what you could become if you bought this? So when you bought a car, you became way more efficient, right? When you married your wife, you became way more disciplined, right? So if you invested more into your business, wouldn't your business grow? Wouldn't that be a good thing? So we're live call reviews every morning. You as the founder should be in there until you have a team leader. So it's energy on you, right? End of the day call. Just a quick, and this is short, 10, 15 minutes. Hey, how'd you guys go today? I want to hear each of your numbers. No hiding. How many calls did you make today? I made 20. Okay. If you made 20, you must have got 20 sets. You must be pretty confident. Honestly, Dami, I had a bad day and, broke up with my girlfriend and, my cat was sick and okay, all good. What do you think is a fair goal tomorrow? Like, what do you think we can build towards? I reckon if you just give me the week, Dami, I'll get back and I'll hit the target. Just let me ramp it up. I'm big on trust. I'll give them that trust. Prove it to me. I'll give you a token of trust. You have my week. Boom. I want you to heal. Life is hard. Life is very hard. I'll give you that week. Do your thing. Monday. Boom. So you need to have that end of day thing. Otherwise, the pattern that even made the one successful, we didn't get insights into what made them successful. End of the day, I did this, this, and this. Team, do you think tomorrow we can repeat these 3 things that made Jenny crush it today? Jenny hit 15 sets today. Jenny's a freak. Jenny, what did you do? You need them to copy these things. That's why start of the day, you listen to the calls. End of the day, you do a little town hall. They tell you what their numbers were for that day in terms of calls and sets, and then you ask them what their goals are for the next day. Once you get to the team leader level, which gets really exciting, which is because we talked about SDRs, seniors, team leads. At the team leader level, you ask the team leaders. You stop taking the calls now with the SDRs. The team leaders handle that. You have a daily call with the team leaders. Team leaders, how are your teams going? Each of you have 5. Let's just say you guys are coming up. You have 3 SDRs each. Melbert's one of our team leaders. Melbert, your team booked 20 appointments today. Was that within the range of your goal? Honestly, Dami, was a bit short. Cool. What do you think happened? What do we need to change? Dami, I realized that based on our data from Aircall, again, why I'm recommending that you guys use Aircall, 12 to 3 p.m. is when they're just on. But the morning, Dami, they're just probably watching Netflix, chilling. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you, Dami. Cool. Again, that's why you can get that honesty from someone if you were with them in the trenches from the start. You know what I'm saying? But Dami, I want us to move up to 50 appointments a day, back to our normal. I'm like, cool, you're the guy. I trust you. You made it through the ranks. We have history. No issue. But at the team leader level, you're now competing the team leaders against each other. So Melbert's team, Jenny's team, you got Ken's team. I'm just naming my teams, right? And then you got Michelle. So if Ken is smoking everyone, I'm like, guys, Ken's going to win the company prize this month. Who's catching up to Ken? Ken's going to get like a MacBook or something, guys. Okay, if you guys want Ken to win, like I don't mind. It's less money for me. That's all. And then they're like, salespeople are naturally competitive. So at a dark triad traits, Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy. Unfortunately, really, really good salespeople tend to be quite high on narcissism, right? Sorry, not psychopathy, sociopathy. So you need to inherently kind of pinch at that. As a CEO, you become an orchestrator. Once you're able to look at the business, you become an orchestrator of people, right? A company, a composition of people.
Before you go on,
Yeah, go ahead.
could you talk about the group interviews just real quick?
Yes.
I've never heard of it before, but how do you format it? Like, how do you gauge each person if you got everyone together?
100% good question. I wouldn't overthink this one, actually. I would literally pick a time, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, 10 a.m. Hey guys, these are the slots for the group interviews. So for example, for the SDRs, we have recurring group interview times. It's Monday and Wednesday at one time. If people can't make those times, great, just come next week. We're not going to budge on that because we have now a system. We're looking to get to 200 people by the end of the year because that's kind of the headcount we'll need for our $1 million a month. So when you're starting out, get them on the call. In terms of format, if you're trying to hire SDRs, hey guys, so say I'm the founder and we're doing $0 a month, we're just building up. Hey, so look, thank you guys for jumping onto this interview. I'm the owner of Clientele Boosters Consulting Group. We're looking to hire 2 SDRs to start building out our HVAC division. Before I get started, I would love to learn a little bit more about each and every one of you. John can tell me about your experience, where you're located, where you're from, over to you. That's how to run it. And then just 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, 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 boom. And you get an AI Gemini, just all the notes. And then you give it to Gemini, get Gemini's opinion, give it to your team leader if you have one by that point, give it your opinion, give it that person's opinion, and then swirl it all together. It's going to give you a recommendation of who you should hire. You got to be really unemotional about like the gut feeling. I used to be a gut feeling guy, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I just got a good, this is the one. That shit doesn't work. And this is counterintuitive because I know the gurus online that say they do like 10K, 100K a month, but a lot of them sell courses. I know I could name names here that you guys would know that I've met in person. The ones that I mentioned are legit. Like even though Ty Lopez is a bit of a sus guy, he's legit. Grant Cardone is legit. Grant Cardone caps sometimes, but he's legit. Gary Vee is legit. But a lot of the guys under 30 that have made millions, guys, Amex, like it's not, a lot of them don't have actually service businesses, just courses. Anyway, that's how I do the group interviews. Any other questions on group interviews though? I wouldn't overthink it. It's not that complex. They're humans looking for jobs.
They compete for your approval. They try to outshine each other.
They do, but you know what's interesting? Like so in IQ, there's brackets of interests. The average IQ in the world is 100. The average Australian IQ is 98. So people think Australians are super smart, but really the average IQ in Australia is 98, so it's average. The average millionaire's IQ, it's gonna all come together. The average millionaire's IQ is 118. So a bit above average, but you don't have to be a genius. The greatest salespeople aren't the smartest people, but a really, really good sales leader is a little bit higher in intelligence because really good leaders are good at listening. They can hear things that are unsaid, right? So if I'm in a group interview and someone's hogging the microphone, that's cool, but that's not like indicative of them being the best salesperson per se. It's really more, okay, they're very extroverted, that's good. But I'm almost looking for the person that can socially engineer the vibe the best. What does social engineering mean? Okay. We'll blur this name out on the edit. This person is a terrible person, by the way. Like convicted felon, and he's deceased now. That's going to be on the bug. Hear me out. Horrible human. Scary good at social engineering. What do I mean by that? Who's seen the long interview of no camera? Have you guys seen that? What is their position, all of it?
when he's talking about maths, right? And like how maths works. We see the hands up. See one person. Okay, watch it. He's right. Deadly word that one. Maths conversation. It's like 3 hours. And he basically talks about how celebrities like being in the same rooms with really artsy people. So he'd create the environment for these different kinds of people. Yeah.
To find value of each other. People think it's just money. No, money's an incentive. It's not the only incentive. So when I'm looking at a group interview, I'm looking at who's the person that can sway the whole vibe. When I'm doing game shows, people think how I, because it's not really a win thing, but how like I debate is I'm just looking for clips. And of course, like I know how to get clips. But what I'm really doing is I'm getting the emotional consensus of the room to sway to me. And I actually broke this down. I was like, okay, here's how in the first 30 minutes of the whole game show, I influenced the whole room to buy into the emotion that I was setting. So that's what I'm looking for in a group interview, because if they can socially like influence a whole online call, then they can influence someone one-on-one, because that's harder. Abstract, but there's a book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. You guys may have read that. It's a good book. I think he's an FBI hostage negotiator formerly. It was really good. And then you can read The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. But yeah, you want to be able to socially engineer. The better you can socially engineer, the better the salesperson is, I'd say, at a higher level. What we actually hire for, to answer that question further: coachability, energy, emotional resilience, consistency, communication, listening ability, competitiveness, reliability, high activity, and tolerance. We don't overvalue fancy CVs, corporate sales vocab, previous titles, or natural sales talent. Confidence without discipline. You can teach a script, but it is much harder to teach someone to tolerate 100 rejections. I'm going to pause there. You guys can go get a snack, a drink, bathroom. Can't specify names. Anyway, the first 30 days. Day one, offer, ICP, which is initial customer profile, CRM, qualification, script logic, shadowing. Okay, so once they've been hired, the SDR, get them familiar with the offer. Now, it doesn't mean they should know the slide deck. That's for the closer. If you're a startup business and you're doing, let's just say, sub 50K a month, you're still probably the main closer, which is perfectly fine. Record the crap out of it. Just let them have a feel of it. Send it to them. Don't ask them to memorize it, just so they have a feel of it. ICP, initial customer profile. That's easy. They should know what niche you're going after, or niche is. Now, the question that some of you might already be thinking, Dami, if I've got a med spa business, or if I'm already a consultant, or if I'm an agency, or I'm an influencer guy, should I focus on one niche only? Okay, when you're starting out, yes, the riches are in the niches. Once you have enough data, again, controversial advice, I think it comes down to how skilled your team can adapt. So, for example, my team crushes in healthcare, but we can also crush in tutoring. We realized that we closed 2 or 3 tutoring clients. Actually, initially, these ones are from Meta ads, actually. But once we did that, we're like, oh, if we're already signing them up, we can cold call them. That's how my team thinks. They're like, oh, if we get 3 clients in this, oh, that means we can build that to 50 appointments a day. I don't even have to tell them. They just do it. So you have to create that belief. Initially, for most of you probably here, probably pick 1 or 2 niches. The reason I say 1 or 2 is because you should always be testing. Ty Lopez taught me this when I went to his conference when I was 23. He said, the person that tests the most, wins. So if there's 365 days in a year, try to do 365 tests. And not just in business. You can do an email split test, but also if you're formerly eating all kinds of food, try being pescatarian for a quarter. Try being carnivore for a week. Like, test everything, because the more tests you can do, you'll be surprised how fast life can change. I mean, so it's, yeah, like especially with AI, like just tell it your tests all the time. Okay, shadowing. As soon as the SDR is hired, don't make it fancy. Don't be like, have you finished watching the Loom videos yet? Yeah, watch them in your own time if you haven't already watched them. That shows how conscientious you are. Follow me. This is listen to me cold call. Let's do a cold call together. Let's do 2 hours of cold calling together. I want you to see how fast I can do 100 calls in front of you. Bathroom break, I'll be back. Go to the bathroom, piss, come back on the phone. Oh, I've got 20 calls left. I'm hungry. I'll eat in front of you. Bang out the call. I know it sounds overkill, but remember, you're setting the foundation for your multi-million-dollar company. So you rather set it up correctly, once and for all. You get what I'm saying? Because by the time you guys are no longer closing guys, you won't be, at least I'll talk about my personal experience. The reason why Fabio is really, really good that he's my creative director is because he actually pushes me to sometimes even dress up better. He's like, bro, like, buy that car or like dress better, etc. In Dubai, I told him, all right, like part of the content will actually like use luxury cars in the content because it's just not my personality. But the reason why that helps is because you have to be able to show your team what's actually possible. But there's no way that you can show them what's possible if you aren't actually doing it in front of them. So me driving a luxury car that's rented for the day in Dubai shows my head of sales, fuck, my CEO is like actually about it. Like not just what I've seen on Stripe, but he's actually materializing his life, right? So you need to document everything, all of your failures, all of the rejections, everything. Role plays, objection handling, listening to winning calls. Again, in the morning, listen to calls. 15 minutes, 3-5 calls. End of the day, okay, how many calls did you get done today? Great. Da, 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 da. Anyway, first 30 days. Day 2, live dialing. I want them on the phone by the second day. Again, a lot of people don't give that advice. They're like, induction for a week and do the little corporate dance. Nah, bro. Like, second day, get on the phone. First day if you can. Let's get rejected together. And when they mess up, don't even correct them straight away. Again, social engineering. You want to engineer things socially. When they fuck up the first call, all good. So let them self-learn. Because you're already on the call with them. They're already nervous. You're the owner of the company. Whether it has 0 clients or 0 customers or 1,000. You're already the owner. They're already nervous. All good. All you should be aiming for initially with them is for them to hit their dial amount. 50, 100, 150. Cool. Cool. And they're gonna, some of them, we're talking about entrepreneurship before, about the different contradictory traits. Really, really good salespeople often are sometimes, not often, actually different. Sometimes, not all the time, they can be very insecure. So they might be really good salespeople when no one's watching them. Anyone can kind of relate? I can relate. You can relate? When I worked at Podium, I was, what's interesting? I'm naturally introverted. I know that doesn't make any sense to you guys, but like I'm naturally introverted. When I was working at Podium, I would actually go to a corner of the office in Melbourne CBD. I remember how I used to hear me doing the Podium calls back in the day, 5 years ago. And I wouldn't want anyone watching, but I would still be the best setter of the month in October. But when I had to do it in front of these 35-year-old guys, how are ya? Doing all that and like just like staring at me like, I love your hair, mate. I'm like trying to lock in, bro. Like stop distracted. Like I would get like 1 or 2 sets. And again, that was a mindset thing. Now put me in front of 1,000 people, I'll call. I don't care. But insecurity. So sometimes when you're training them, you're still from the get-go. You got to softly push them. This is where empathy comes in. Look, hey, I've already gotten hung up twice today. All good, you can chuck your camera on. Get them to chuck the camera on. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but that's where you're developing your leadership skills as well. You're showing that failure is completely normal. We welcome failure here. I don't fire people for failure in my company. I fire them when they don't follow a process consistently. Fail all you want. That's ironic because I look at failure as a test. Volume and coaching, I've already talked about that. And then, week 1 to 4 is consistency. A lot of people can be superstars for a week, 2 weeks, even 4 weeks. They say to set a new pattern takes 21 days, to solidify it takes 90 days. And I think there's a lot of, well, that's obviously science, so that seems to be the case. But yeah, for a really good SDR, I'm looking at, hey, can they consistently give me 3, 5, 7 a day? And usually I can see that between week 2 to week 4, if I've done my part as the leader, as the owner of the company. Yeah, already spoke to you guys about that one. Okay, so your best training material already exists. All of you guys already have training material that exists. Winning calls, failed calls, objections, no-shows, qualified appointments, unqualified appointments, closed deals, lost deals. Stop training from theory when you have thousands of conversations available. Guys, if you don't have money, I don't think you understand, like literally 5 years ago, because of all the various things that have failed, I was on a broken bed. I showed you $1,000. That was after I got reemployed at another company. I had 0. Ask Maui. I would have to, when I got hacked at that crypto thing, that was like my last 10 grand from the business. So we went out to laundry bar that night. So I had basically like $2 in my whole account, but I just wanted to teach my brain. Even though I had a business, but I'd made so many mistakes, $2 in my whole $2 complete net worth. Not on there's nothing on Binance, no stake, no Bank of Melbourne, no Commonwealth, $2 left. Still went out that night just to keep reinforcing the principles of abundance, abundance. Failure is fine. Objections are fine. Failure is, you have to be really comfortable with that. Because even the more money you make, the more risks you'll take for the business to keep growing, right? So you have all this data, record everything, because when your staff or your SDRs are having a bad day on the phones, they're going to want to know, my boss actually knows how hard it was to be an SDR. My boss knows getting rejected 100 times a day hurts. But my boss also knows that getting rejected 100 times a day builds extreme strength. And it's all men here now. Like, guys, this same thing here, like with the rejection here, applies to dating, applies to anything in life. I've had nightclub businesses where we did, the first $10,000 I actually did in a day was actually with a nightclub when I was 21, but it was split between me and my business partners. That's the first time I made 10K in a day, right? But it took rejection. Even then, we reach out to people on Instagram. My other business, Quasar, the one that I met you on, and some of you guys have been on already, Quasar. When Quasar was popping, this is when our Instagram wasn't taken down and whatever, etc. When we got 1 billion views, and this is documented, you can look this up on TikTok, in 2023, the first episode that I recruited for, I reached out to 1,000 people at 22 years old from just my Instagram. I reached out to girls that I matched with on Tinder. I reached out to old girls that I used to hook up with. I reached out to friends from school that thought I was in a pyramid scheme. I reached out to all kinds of people. I'm being honest, I reached out to all kinds of people. I just was like, look, I've already told people I'm gonna do this dating show. I spent all this money and I just recovered from the financial loss like a year prior. And then a year later, I went on your podcast. I was like, I made it back. And I was finally doing like 6 figures. So like 6 figures again is good when you're not trying to afford a dating show. So I was like, I have to make this work. We made it work. Out of 1,000 people that I reached out to, 25 people rocked up. But those 2 episodes that we recorded, the first 2 episodes recorded on Quasar Central, the first one got 40,000 views. The second one got 1 million views on YouTube. Cody Ko, Abbott and Preached all react to our stuff. 1 billion views by the time I was 23. Channel 7 and Vice Australia followed us on Instagram. There was talks of a certain acquisition that I cannot talk about publicly that we declined. At 23, because I was okay with failure, no shows, lost deals, closed deals, unqualified, qualified. This applies with everything. But you have to show it first in content that you've recorded. Record it on your phone when you're going to pitch someone. Just record it on your phone. Keep the audio on. That's what I would do when I would pitch South Yarra when I was 21 and I was using my dad's long turtleneck. Cool. Every number will tell you something different. Dials, connects, conversations, qualified, booked, showed, closed. You should know all 7. I'm actually not going to spend much time on this because you guys are all quite savvy. But the biggest thing is cash collected. What's one of the first things I said at the start of this call? I said, look, yeah, we did 110 appointments yesterday, but what we really did in new clients, I'm going to show you, or you guys, some of you might have missed the screenshots. I showed screenshots from Stripe earlier on. In new clients, $103,000 last month, July. Now, you're in my Slack. I'm not sure if you can see the new client channel, but you still the appointment channel, like in the appointment set channel or the sales team.
Always something going on there.
Right? So like cash collected is the only thing that matters at the end of the day, right? No matter how fancy the metrics. But to get cash collected, dials, connects, conversations, qualified, booked, showed, closed. An air call can do a lot of that for you. But keep it simple. Like I said, if you're a service business, main focus. More clients, better clients, lose less. Keep it very simple. The simpler you keep it initially, the easier it is for people to copy as well. Okay, now this is really important, and this is up your alley a lot, and a lot of you guys would have experience with this. Okay, social engineering. People repeat what gets rewarded. Status, recognition, progression, accountability. What I learned when I was working at the second fastest growing tech company in the world when I was 21 was how people were getting gamified. So what we do is we have nicknames, and you can't force this. This is where you have to really know yourself. We have nicknames for our different closers, and I did not tell them to create nicknames, it just happened naturally. So James, our head of sales, the one that made nearly 10 grand last month. When he closes a deal, we call him King James in the new client section. Obviously, King James, LeBron James. Our other closer, Stephen. Okay, when he closes a deal, we call him Steph Curry. Stephen Curry, whatever. The girls, Trisha, she doesn't even watch NBA. but she'll do like a baller emoji. Now, I never told them to use those emojis, but what did I say at the start? The character of the leader influences the culture of the people. I'm an ex-basketball player. I rarely ever talk to my team about basketball, but it's like almost energetically, or like maybe to appease me. Who knows? Maybe it's both from when it began. And now that's the terminology. So culture. Every time a new deal comes, and I'm giving you guys this to steal because I stole this from Podium. Drum roll. Build anticipation, right? So as soon as we've heard a deal gets closed, before it gets listed, the whole team, drum roll, drum roll emoji, 10 drum roll, 10 drum roll, 10 drum. Imagine now you have 100 people in your team. 20 people are doing drum rolls because you closed the deal. That feels freaking good. That feels better than the deal. You get what I'm saying? So then you list the deal and everyone's doing emojis on it quickly. Heart, fire, crazy, basketball emojis. And what they've started to do, they'll even take screenshots of the faces of the closer, made that an emoji. Now it feels like a bit of a social environment. We have inside jokes. It's cool. Now it's not a stressful Monday. When we get 5 to 10 deals in a day, which is like 20 grand in a day, and that happens pretty frequently, right? We call it party time. Start doing dancing emojis. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'll just be like playing basketball. Fabio will catch me while I'm doing content. I'm just like, because it's just, that's the vibe of the company. It's high performance. High performance doesn't have to mean stressful. It just means we like to win, right? So you need to gamify things. You need to gamify status and recognition, right? Another thing you want to do in what I do is my executive assistant, she, in Slack at the start of each day, will actually say, almost like, who's seen like, what's his name? Joe Rogan, when he used to be the commentator of the he's like, the UFC, hey guys, and he's hyping up the team for the day. Let's get ready. Or like Vic McMahon, hyping everyone up. Her job every morning is to get that ready. And today, who's going to take over the appointment setting channel? We've got this person, this person, this person, that person. Okay, this person, it's 11 a.m. This person's already got 2 sets in the lead. Right behind them is John trailing at 1 by the afternoon. This person has 12 sets. Are they going to break the company record of 17 sets in a day? That's a company record. I think it's 16 or 17 in one day from one person. Oh, he's 15. He's neck and neck. There's 3 people on 15. Who's going to be the one to win today? And then they do the same for the closes. 2 deals from King James. Stephen James with a dunk. We're not even talking about money. I mean, we're listing the money in brackets. But it's like a sports game. So by the end of the day, when we're doing debriefs on, okay, like how many calls do we make? It's like, how many points did you score? It's a game. Business is just a game. Why are we making it so serious or corporate-y? We are corporate in front of the clients, obviously. But like, it's a game. Have fun, Okay, progression. That one I've already touched on, but yes, as soon as someone gets from junior SDR to senior SDR, drum roll, trumpets, fake trumpets on that, like, vibes, announcement. This person has been, and then like a picture of them framed with your company's branding. In Slack, this stuff is free. Culture is free. Culture is what made me multiple millions this year. And $1 million first last year. Culture. I promise you guys, culture. The character of the leader influences the culture of the people. Accountability. The team leaders will do that at a certain point, but again, if you're in the mix with them every morning at the end of the day and you're holding them accountable, by you showing up, they'll be like, okay, well, showing up's normal. But if you're missing everything, well, they're going to be like, well. For example, I'm gonna be real. I can be late to shit sometimes. How many game shows have started like 20, 30 minutes late? Because I started freaking an hour late. But I will always outwork most of the people in my company. And to be honest, in my life, that's kind of been the story. Wasn't that good?
My fault.
Huh?
It's usually my fault.
Stop it. No, it's my fault too, bro. It's all good. Teamwork. But
When we're late, yes, it's my fault.
that's all good. I'll take the brunt. Accountability. Exactly. So I know what I can hold my staff to accountability-wise. I know that my head of sales, even if he's 2 minutes late to a demo, I know if he gets good rapport, the odds of him closing it's high as fuck. So like, I know he'll close enough deals and he'll teach other people to do the same thing. But maybe once I'm on time for everything consistently for a month, then I can enforce that. You see how I'm not saying don't hold your team to a high standard. I'm saying hold your team to the standard that you can hold yourself to. Very different. That's where I think I was lagging in maturity when I was younger. I think that's what was holding me back from my first million at 22 or 23. But by 24, 25, I was able to have enough self-awareness to what I could hold my staff to. So now it doesn't feel incongruent, right? I've been an SDR before. You guys have seen me be an SDR. Listen to my calls. I've recorded a live video on Friday, every Friday this year. Broken voice, sick, whatever. Whether Albin, my head editor, is on the live or not. And it's a good live. Consistency, accountability. Questions?
I'm gonna have y'all on top.
We're good for time. Yes.
So I think two-parter. One is how was your journey in creating the culture and understanding how important culture is, and how do you go about someone coming to the team and making them come to the culture if they come from a corporate background?
Very good question. This slide answers that. So identity. A culture is really just the repeated behaviors that we repeat. That's all a culture is. So again, what's the maths of culture? It's what behaviors am I reinforcing? For me, it's, I'll answer that with specificity. A lot of my staff, they use the word champ. Like, well done, champ. Nice one, champ. Good deal, champ. Great client call, champ. I didn't even realize I was saying champ like 4 or 5 years ago to my first few staff. Now everyone says it, right? So how you get people bought in is you have to get the current mixture of people that work for you to already kind of buy into a few principles. Our team values and team principles are very short and succinct. Speed, deep thinking, and client first. Only 3. We used to have 7, we used to have 6, we split tested them. But what I'd suggest that you do is you find 3 things that are tied to your personality and are exemplified through your business. And then you try to look for your team to reinforce those behaviors. At the end of the year or at the end of the month, you can have a mini award ceremony for the person that showed speed the best, for the person that showed deep thinking the best, client first the best. And it doesn't have to be a big award, it doesn't have to be money. It can be status. Speech, 20 Australian dollars or 20 US dollars, right? Or it can be, no, but I mean for real, I know it's funny, right? But let's say they're in Australia, a coffee. So because we're all business guys, we're thinking like in terms of dollars and like money. People they're not all wired by money. We're all a little bit, some sort of, trauma or whatever. Entrepreneurs, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't want the stress tolerance to compete in the top 4% of businesses. Why? For what reason? If you've decided to do it, you have to understand they're built differently to you. The second part of your question is visibility. How you get someone to buy in is you show them the world you've created. So when I hire, right now, I would say we are, because we've got an ops manager, head of sales, I would say potentially, maybe when we're at least 500K a month, maybe in the next month-ish or less, month to 2, we could probably start to look for our first C-suite hire. I can't talk on C-suite hires because I haven't hired any. I'm still the only C-suite person. But say I hired, actually we do have one C-suite, chief financial officer, but that's irrelevant to this conversation. The reason, I'm just gonna finish answering this question. The reason why I mentioned visibility is because for me to get good closers, I just show them my Slack, like how Nami see my Slack. I'm like, yeah, just click appointment set section. And I ask them, with your 20 years sales experience, because you have way more experience than me, I'm a 26-year-old kid, I don't know anything. Would you say that this is a normal amount of appointments generated in a day? And they keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and they see all these appointments, like what the fuck? The culture speaks for itself. The culture is like an energy ball of snow, and the more it rolls, the more it's just hard to avoid. That's how you get them to buy in. Because you can say whatever, and you can sound nice, but if you sold them into your company, they could quit within a week. The culture.
You just mentioned
C-suite.
Well, could you define that?
Yeah, so it's in a company hierarchy, a C-suite level is your CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, a CEO, Chief Executive Officer, that's all the chiefs, a Chief Financial Officer. A company of our size usually would have one. I've built my company in I guess, quite a different way than most businesses, but we're also growing faster than most. Like some of the biggest agencies in Australia, like we take their clients. But just because, yeah, he's a G, but revenue is probably, I'll put it this way, we could probably get to his revenue, at this, if we didn't grow at the aggression we're growing at, we could probably reach his revenue by January. And that's not me bragging, it's just like I know people that work for him because they look at our company. So I'm telling you this is, huh? Looking at the culture, man. Culture is so scary powerful. That's why people, like whether you like him or love him, Tate, influencing elections, right? Look at like the greatest leaders in history, they could just, you could just feel their energy and you wanted to borrow it. You wanted to harness it for the day, to get you through the day. So the more you master that, you'll be surprised. Some of the biggest agencies in the world, they might not all apply, a few have, but a lot of them look me up on LinkedIn. Make performance social. I already talked about that. But yeah, this actually goes into more depth. Pod scoreboard, individual target, pod scoreboard, team leader, company scoreboard. Keep everything visible. That is a very un-Australian thing. Private performance creates excuses. Visible performance creates standards. So for me, when I'm looking at the new client section, my executive assistant's assistant will report, okay, today this closer closed this much, this one closed this much, this one closed nothing. These setters, these 5 booked like 10 each today. You 5 were at the bottom, you closed 1. But it's all public. So it's not like we have to be like, are you having a bad day? Like what's going on? Everyone sees it. It's not to put people on blast. It's to hold people accountable. It's already a social, I'm a chill CEO. Majority of my staff would say I'm a pretty chill CEO because I don't micromanage. You made it into this culture. You must be good. I just trust the culture. But I just look at the scoreboard and I know my team leader, in his team, he's going to be like, out of my 5 SDRs, these 2 only got 1 set today. By the way, only got 1 set. Like that just shows the standard, right? But he's going to look at that and he's going to be like, okay, guys, look privately. Hey, yesterday was a bad day. What can we do to pick it up? So once you create the culture and visibility is there, it's just a game of compounding, you know? But yeah, performance should be social. Making money is a social activity. Shout out to Kevin Samuels, if you guys know, he said that. Making money is a social activity. It's so true. The script is a decision tree. So I did an example of a script, but you guys can use this. I'll do an example because I do these examples, so I lose my voice all the time. Okay, let's do a different industry. Let's do a junk removal. I'll use a different client. Hey, is this James? Yeah, who's this? James, it's Dami. How are you? Yeah, good look, James. Are you familiar with Tony's rubbish removal? Relevance. Yeah, well, look, we got them a few extra end of lease jobs. Is that something that you'd want more of? Yeah, fucking hate Tony, junk removal, they like to swear. Fucking hate Tony's rubbish removal. Why are you working with that cunt? Mate, look, I don't blame you. Everyone's different. Some people pick up rubbish. Some people have bad Google reviews. But if you would like more jobs, would you be upset if I showed you how we could do that sometime this week? Oh, mate, I'm busy. I get all these calls all the time. Mate, I bet you get all these calls all the time. Even I get cold calls and I'm like, fuck, like another cold caller. I guess it really comes down to if you want Tony's rubbish removal to just get the end of lease jobs, because I would love to send a few more of it to you, but I don't want to take much of your time. Is it okay if I just ask for 10 minutes on Friday? Mate, don't say yes or no, just say 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. 10, but I'll be in the truck, mate. Look, you can be in the truck, you can be in the computer, you can be anywhere. I just need to make sure I have your attention. Is 10 a.m. on Thursday good for you? Okay, 10 a.m. is good. Look, all I ask, sir, is that you have access to some sort of device, because we're going to take notes in this conversation so I can see if I can serve you or not. If I cannot serve you, mate, we'll end the call after the first minute. Fair enough? Okay, great. Can you also ensure me that you'll be able to see my face? Is that okay? If they can see your face, the likelihood they close is a lot higher, by the way. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, mate, well, look, I'll see you at 10 a.m. on Friday. I'm going to send a confirmation. What's your best email? Great. Now, before you leave, can you just accept it for me for good luck? Okay, thank you. Did you get it? Okay, great. Mate, I'm going to let you run off. Have a great Friday. You want to walk them through this. Healthcare NDIS. Hey, is this Julie? Julie, it's Dami. How are you? Great. Look, Julie, are you guys open to getting more, SIL referrals? Yeah, but what do you mean more sale referrals? Yeah, well, look, we would love to potentially send over some 3-to-1 supported participants. Is that something that you guys can do, or you guys only deal with core supports? No, we do still. Okay, great. Well, would you have capacity for 2 participants or 5? Or is 5 too many participants that I'm sending over? No, I can handle 5. Okay, great. Well, would we be able to have a chat on Monday to see if we can actually accommodate you with the more participants? Because not everyone can handle more referrals. I mean, a lot of people say they can handle more and then they lose the participants. No, we can handle it. We have a big company. So you have a big company. Okay, so how many houses do you have available? We've got this house in this part of Werribee and this house in Queensland. Okay, great. Look, I think we can help you. Is Tuesday or Friday most appropriate for us to have this conversation? I think it would be Tuesday. Are you a morning person or afternoon person? I hate mornings. Let's do 1 p.m. 1 p.m. And by the way, Julie, can you just confirm that you have access to a computer? Okay, great. And I'll be able to see your pretty face. You sound like a very lovely girl. Okay, amazing. What's your best email? Perfect. Julie, just bear with me. Did you get it on your side? Amazing. Julie, I look forward to seeing you. Can you do me a favor? Can you come with any other supports that you want us to give you referrals for, just so we can serve you best on Tuesday? Is that fair enough? Okay, I'll see you then. Imagine you have 40,000 versions of that recorded. Of course your sales team is going to book 5 to 7 appointments a day. That's the script format that we use. You guys can take pictures of it if you'd like. And that script format last month in new clients, we already were doing millions. In new clients added an extra $103,000 last month. More appointments does not always mean more money. Intent, time frame, budget, capacity, decision maker, objections. Bad qualification simply moves the problem downstream. Now, when someone's starting out, I would rather them get 10 appointments and the quality be a bit bad initially, because I want them to get the dopamine. I want them to kind of get excited, like, okay, shit, I'm getting appointments. But by week 2, week 3, hey, I listen to your calls. You're a freak. 10 appointments a day. Try this. Just a little tweak. That's where you be the coach. That's why daily is important. Weak language. So I'm not going to go too deep into NLP today. We'll probably do that in December. But language matters. I just wanted to follow up. Hopefully, maybe we could just checking in, I think. Strong language, based on what you've told me. If you notice, I kind of slowed down near the end of like a doctor, right? Well, look, the next step would be this. What would need to happen for, I don't even like what to need to happen, to be honest, but it's decent. But what would need to happen for, can we clarify? You know what? Here's what I'd recommend. Even when someone's saying, let's sign up, sure, here's what I'd recommend. When you break your leg, the doctor isn't like, they're like, okay, well, what happened? Okay, so you were on the swing, got it. Okay. And then, is it painful here? Yeah, it is, okay. And the tender, have you had this injury before? Okay, got it. Do you have a history with ankle? Okay, interesting. Okay. Is there any other things that I should know about your leg before? Okay, okay. Can I do a test? Can I see your funnel? Okay, okay. Based on what you've told me, I'd be able to recommend this prescription. Based on what you've told me, the next step would be for you to take this 3 times a week. What will need to happen for you to recover over the next 8 weeks is for you to do these exercises once a day. Now let's clarify something. You've had this, this, and this happen before, and you haven't, is that correct? Okay, amazing. So you need to be a doctor. Doctors recommend, they don't sell. Yeah, so this one I've already repeated, but when 30 SDRs hear the same objection, guys, you need to listen. There's usually 2 of these 3 that are stopping you from kind of 30, 40, 50K a month if you're doing under that amount. But these are the common objections: price, trust, timing, authority, competitor, no need, capacity. Each of these can be handled. Price, is the ethos of the price objection is, do you want to pay for quality or do you want to pay twice? That's the ethos. Like, I'm breaking out. Trust, well, of course you don't trust me. We're calling over the phone. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dami Okedara. I'm 20, storytell. Storytelling, by the way, is the most effective. I did a speech to the University of Sydney about this 2 weeks ago from one of our $1 billion clients' referrals. Storytelling, by far, is the most important technique in sales. By far. Like, it's not even close. Trust, storytelling. Absolutely, you don't know me. Well, this is who I am. Born in Fiji, 1999, 26 years old. Built a company from zero. Parents weren't happy about it. Friends weren't happy about it. Da, 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 da. By 25, I was doing $1 million a year. I want on track to do $4 million a year at 26. Da, 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 da. Timing. Oh, absolutely. Everything in life is about timing. I mean, when you had a child, did you plan to have? Got it. Yeah. So, you know, sometimes in life as entrepreneurs, we like to control things, but then you realize that time is actually elusive. It's not real. But the target that you have for yourself is to get your business from A to Z. So let's actually use your time argument. Let's say you did the exact same thing you're doing today. Do you think in a year from now you'd have the same reality or a different reality? Probably the same reality. Okay, then what I could potentially recommend is, even if it's not us, would it make sense to do something different to get a different reality, a different result? I guess that would make sense. Okay, got it. Well, look, based on where you're at, I would suggest this, because someone that had the exact same thing as you, when they started with us 2 years ago, they did this and they were able to get to that after a year. So I'm not saying that this will work for you, but I'm saying that this might be the logical next step for you based on what you've told me. I'm listening to you. I'm using your language against you. Authority. There's better people that can do this. Oh, mate, there's absolutely better people that can, do anything. I mean, instead of me just buying furniture from your shop that's doing 50K a month, I could go to Harvey Norman, but I'm buying it from you, right? So everything is about, trust at the end of the day. Authority is actually close to trust. Authority is just a smoke screen. If someone's trying to judge you on their authority, you can actually say to them, well, the reason why you're coming to me is because you couldn't afford the bigger authorities. Obviously say that in a nicer way, right? But again, that's actually a dance that's close to trust. Competitor, it's the easiest thing. Competitor is easy. Yeah, look, I'm already working with another agency that's doing the exact same thing as you. I completely understand that. And one thing I admire about you is that you're always looking to level up. Because, there might, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, the fact that you're talking to me while working for another agency, would I be correct to assume that there's maybe something that they're not doing very well? Well, they're doing everything really well, but like, the Google ads is poor. Gotcha. How? Become a doctor. What do you mean by poor? Like you're not making, like you've gotten some sales but not many sales? Okay. What would it mean if you were to double sales through Google ads? Okay. Would that make your business more profitable? Because sometimes agency owners, they're very revenue. They're like, I make 10K a month, but like it's revenue. Like, are they a bit revenue focused, not profit for you? So if you're adding an extra 100K a month profit, you'd be able to hire another employee. Got it. What quarter of the year would you want to hire that other employee? Q4. So we have 2 months to make that happen. Okay, look. Do you mind if I'm blunt? I think you need some assistance. Stay with your agency for the other stuff. Monday, 2 p.m., let's talk about Google Ads. I'm going to show you exactly how. We got someone similar to you to go from 50K a month profit to 100K a month profit with Google Ads. I'm not saying it's for you, but it sounds like it might. Does that time work for you? Competitors, guys, smoke screens. And it's not a smoke screen in the sense that it's a weak objection. If they were happy with who their provider was, why would you go looking? No need. Oh, absolutely. Like when I don't need a doctor, when my leg isn't broken, but when I do break my leg or I do get sick, I'm always looking for which GP to call. And next minute I'm out of pocket because I don't realize my private health insurance is up to date. So I'm not saying that you need what I do right now. I'm saying that if you don't start to rank on Google, if you don't start to rank in ChatGPT, if you don't start to take care of your principles and belief systems, if you don't start to take care of your life, if you don't start to build a network of influences for your hospitality business now, well, Joe Schmo down the street might have already started building those relationships 2 years prior to you. So when it's Christmas, he gets the hottest girls to come to the restaurant. And you don't have any restaurant. You don't have any influences. I'm not saying this is for you, but I'm saying that this might be necessary for the evolution of your business. Capacity. Oh, absolutely. Like you're full with capacity. Your business is doing so well. By the way, congratulations. I mean, the best thing to hear is that someone is so busy that they have a wait list. By the way, is it okay if that wait list goes to other people? Or no, they're just on the wait list. They're going to be signed up eventually. Got it. So correct me if I'm wrong. Would it make sense if there was a better way to manage that capacity? Because it sounds like you've nailed demand, but maybe supply needs some work, which is still a funnel issue just for staff. Everything is a problem to be solved. So what if instead of running Facebook ads to generate you more clients and leads, what if we helped you run LinkedIn ads to get more qualified staff? By the way, I can talk about this because we also hire 2 people a week. By the way, I can talk about this because I have the time to screen them for you. I'm a startup entrepreneur. I've got 0 clients. I can screen them for you and I can show you the detailed conversations of them and the best ones I think are fit. Hey, I went on Claude, I created a little scoreboard for you with their faces, I made it look pretty, of the best people that you can hire and the ones that aren't going to be good fits. By the way, I think these 3 are going to be great for you. In fact, I already have top of mind some people that I think will be perfect to support your capacity in January when those new participants are ready to enroll into the new property. Better yet, you need more seal properties because you have a wait list. You're going to run out of properties. We need to get you more properties now because that's going to be expensive. So we need to also forecast things. In fact, we can't even have this conversation on this phone call. When are you available? I'm actually concerned that if we let that list go, as soon as you're at capacity again, you're going to run into the same problem. You're potentially missing out on millions of dollars. Is Friday good for you? Cool. 10 a.m.? Talk then. Ciao. The more data, the easier it will be for your team just to rip. My head of sales, I trust him. He doesn't need me on 9-figure client, I trust him. Sort it. Data. What would 40,000 calls do for you guys if you had people in your team doing that for you? A lot of things can happen. This is where it gets interesting. Like I said, every call becomes data, every objection gets tagged. With Aircall, you can tag the objection. Every pattern gets serviced back to a manager fast. You're building the internal layer that does this automatically. I'm not going to open that up in the public sector. Oh, actually, this is not for you guys. Basically, there was going to be 2 8-figure guys that can't come today that wanted the consulting, but it's all right. Like, you guys are getting that for free, so I'm going to skip this slide. This is the flywheel. More SDRs, more calls, more data, better training, better conversations, more appointment, more sales, more cash. Reinvest into people. Now, this is non-sales related. Then I'm going to open up to Q&A, and then we're done. This is my suggestion. If you're under 35 and you're a man, I'd really recommend, even once your business, God wills that all of your businesses touch millions very soon. Once that happens, dump money into the best leadership you can in your company, because asymmetric returns. At 26 right now, truthfully, probably as of earlier this year, I had enough money to like purchase like a Lamborghini or whatever. That's why even I'm wearing my brother's shoes. I'm wearing but I don't do this to be like that humble whatever. Like, I live in this is not an expensive apartment. Like, you know, that's probably my main expense. But I don't do this to be humble. I do this because I understand that my biggest upside isn't money, it's time. So the fact that KC can screen you and be like, hey, I like him. KC, do you like him? You like him? Great. Let's work with him. You know, X person can screen Fabio. We work together. Now Fabio works with Albin. Now we're pumping out content. That is much more powerful of a multiplier than just getting dropping a month, like 400 grand a month on, you know, a car once you first make that amount. I'm not saying don't spend it, because like I said, people are driven differently. People are driven towards reward and away from fear, right? And then there's the 7 levers of influence, which if you read Tony Robbins, there's like freedom, there's mastery, and there's mating. I know what my 3 are. Freedom is number 1. I'm not gonna lie, mating's up there, I'm not gonna lie. But freedom is number 1. Freedom is number 1, right? So what I mean by that is, I was never a guy that was like, I don't wanna work for anyone. That wasn't my incentive. It's more, if I wanna eat Italian, I use this example all the time. If I wanted to eat Italian food right now, I wanna be able to have the freedom to go to Italy tonight and go eat it, right? And quite frankly, if I was not as aggressive into investing, I could do that right now, right? So that's a separate piece of advice, because this does work, especially once you kind of get to 5 SDRs. Once you get to 5 SDRs and you have a team leader, you guys will know what I'm saying. And you'll be like, fuck. Like, as long as you train them, it's hard for it to not work, because you've created a culture. You also have to make sure that the culture is an extension of you. You can't fake culture. I tried to copy not their values, but I tried copying values from another like make money online guy. some people are really, really good. Who's heard of Nick Setting? You've heard of Nick Setting? Yeah. He's a brand guy. Really cool. I think he does a little bit more than us in revenue. Shout out to him. He's young as fuck. 23. Things like 600 to 800K a month. Crazy, right? His thing is branding, position. Who's heard of the chick? Yeah. I'm trying to actually do a podcast with her. Huh? Vatty. Shout out if you're watching this. I'm trying to potentially do a content with her while I'm down in Dubai, but the time's running out because of organization. Her angle is branding. That's her thing. But that's authentic to her. I don't agree with a lot of her points, but like it works and I respect that. But for me to tell her to like focus on SEO, Google Ads, building sales teams, that might not be her predominant skill set. She's a better brander than me. I'm great at branding. I've shown that with other businesses like Wasar, but I'm not as good at that as naturally as, right? Or as Nami, right? So you gotta know what values you have, lean into it, describe them in 1 or 2 or 3 words, speed, deep thinking, client first, that's for me, for the company. And then the overarching theme for my whole business group, not just CB, is think mega. When I was 19, it was think big. By 24, it was think mega. That's the overarching theme for Quasar, it's the power of human potential. But under all of the different businesses, culture, Quasar, my agency, the fund that we're trying to build, which we'll build probably started next year, which is for some other private equity stuff, think mega is on top of everything. So you got to figure out, that's close to me. That makes sense to me. Think mega is like, yeah. So you got to find your own one. No, we've been over that one. Been over that one as well. So companies try to scale before they can reproduce. Recruit an SDR, train them, get them productive, measure them. Once that's done and you've coached them, then you promote them and you replace the wrong fit and then repeat it. If you cannot reproduce the salesperson, you don't have a sales system. Again, killers are really good. I love killers. Hard to find, but they're really good. I'd rather a system where I've got like a bunch of like 8s instead of just 1, 9, or 10. Because that 1, 9, or 10 is sick. Fuck. I'm back in sales full time. Okay. So, final slide. You guys are gonna start here. You can get to 10 a day with 2 SDRs. Onlinejobs.ph. You can even use LinkedIn, Facebook groups. 25 a day, probably looking at 2 to 4 SDRs. 50 a day. See how I just made it sound way more simple? 2 SDRs, 2 to 4 SDRs. You can do that with 3 to 5 SDRs. Maybe 7 if they're not performing super well. Say 3 to 7 SDRs. This, how many SDRs do we have? Yeah, 20. Well, if we're excluding the leaders that coach, 26. If you're including leaders, then it's 30. That is new though. So we just hired more. That pushed us up to 30. The average that I'm expecting this month is between 150 to 200 sets a day as of mid-August, based with the amount of setters that we already have now. And God willing, if we don't hit it this year, then we'll probably still be able to get to our goal, but I'm over recruiting very aggressively because I want us to get to it. By the time I'm 27 in a few months, I really want us to be doing 1,000 a day. I want that to happen December or January. We've proven that that's possible, just based on maths, because 100 a day was like a pipe dream before. Now, that's like whatever. But if you can just do the maths with your own business, if you can get something to even 50 a day, and you converted just 10% of them, think of how much revenue that is for your own business. I'm going to end it there. Q&A.
2 questions.
Yeah.
I might have missed this because I was a bit late, and I apologize for that.
That's
So,
right.
is your sales team also doing the prospecting? And if they aren't, like, obviously there's a day and night difference between good leads and bad leads, you know, it's how they both run.
The qualification happens on the call, on the cold calling. How do they find the leads? Most of them will just scrape on Google, but at our size, we do have people called outreach specialists. So they will like find leads from LinkedIn and Google and then put it in a CSV for the setters to call. Or in certain industries, there's usually a hub of contacts. So in healthcare, like, the NDIS, it's the NDIA. Or if it's in HVAC, it's not the yellow pages, but an equivalent of that online, right? So in each industry, there's usually a hub where you can scrape or you can find contacts.
Okay. Question number 2.
Yeah.
Like, I've been to a couple of these by now, just listening to talk, like, insane, the level you've obviously already gotten to, right? But what's still driving you in 10 years? Like, you could literally, as you said, you could buy a Lamborghini and have
Yes.
them, but if this keeps going the way it's going, God willing, as you say, 10, 20 years though, like, where do you want to be? What's the dream? What's the goal?
I want to be able to create full time. So businesses like Quasar are more are more fun, but they don't make money. It's like YouTube. Like, it makes money, but it's not profitable. So goal, without going into too much depth, because on YouTube, and I've told you obviously more off camera, but by mid next year, I want a fund that allows us to get into basically private equity. We're able to use the personal brand content to start building relationships and acquiring businesses. I think that's my 9-figure play. The agency will get me 8 figures. Like, whether I push it or not, the machine's just really strong. Like, you've seen the Slack. 8 figures will either happen end of this year or start of this year in terms of like $1+ million a month, just based on what. So yeah, I think private equity is my 9-figure play. Private equity in AI, because I'm creating some AI stuff on the side as well. Honestly, like, making like $1 billion isn't really a goal. I think that would be a natural consequence of just how early I started. Like, I've already got 7 years in agency and 8 years in business period. Like, I did multi-level marketing at 18. Actually, there was supposed to be pictures. I think I already showed it at the start. Yeah, I did. So by the time I'm 28, I would have been in business to some capacity for 10 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if by 2 years from now, by 28, we were doing mid 8 figures at least. But after the company's working and the private equity machine's working, I want to be able to be like, okay, like, if I want to do a fashion brand in Antarctica, I can do it. Like, I don't have to like have that financial friction. If I want to go to New York, because I did a game show there when I was 26, I can go to my New York friends and I'm like, look, I've got this fund for this, this and that. I want to create this thing for fun. So creativity and exploring that drives me. Even things like Quasar, when I didn't have money and Quasar was blowing up, I didn't have as much money, like, there were people coming to me that were like, let's do Black Love Island in Bali, stuff like that. I was like, that's a cool idea. I don't have money like that yet. I was younger. And I wouldn't do that now because that'd be a distraction. But yeah, like, I've spoken to Complex Australia, to be clear. I've spoken to Kick as well. So yeah, so I'm pretty tapped into the creative parts of Australia, because that's the doors Quasar opened for me when it was popping big. And I want to more explore those creative things in my 30s. But right now, up to 30 years old, I want to just build this agency really, really big, because it's a painful business model, because we have 130-ish clients around the world. So like, just think about it. Like, if just 10% of people are complaining every day, even if your business is doing with 13 people complaining every day on the client side, then you have 110 staff, 11 staff complaining every day. Like, that's 25 complaints to some extent every day. Someone's trying to sue you. Someone's trying to hack your Amex. Someone's trying to, some girl that you weren't interested in 3 years ago now notices that you have a company and they try to like find you. Like, it's just, once you deal with a lot of humans at once every day, weird problems come up. That's why you have to be really mentally tough. So I don't want to get distracted till at least 30.
I really like that, actually. Very good answer, because I think a lot of people are young here as well, and they'd agree. It's that you have to have a specific type of discipline to not try your crazy ass ideas every day. I start a clothing brand and I want to do this and a lot of my industry. So what you're pretty much saying is, once I got enough money, I'm going to let my discipline just kind of fade away in that aspect, and I can try all the crazy ideas I have.
Correct. Like, I've had the same car since I was 19. I told my head of sales, because he's like, Dami, like I feel like I'm spending more than you, ha ha ha. And he does, he's a spender, but that's cool. He's head of sales, personality, makes sense. I put it this way. I'll buy my first luxury car once we're at $1 million a month, and it's very, very profitable. Till then, even if it's 900K, I just won't. Because you always got to figure out how you're wired. If you're someone that does love reward, I actually would genuinely recommend buy an entry-level luxury car, buy a Merc or something when you're doing 50K a month, even if it's a lot of money, because for that person, they're driven by status. But I'm driven by freedom. The fact that I can wake up each day and deal with a lot of problems and then think of how can I get the team to 1,000 a day. That autonomy gives me a lot of power. That's where I get my power from. But for some people, it might be women. For some people, it might be traveling. For a lot of people, it's traveling, actually. For a lot of people, it's mating, if they're being really honest. For a lot of people, it's like, oh, I wanted to date this girl and then she lived on the other side of the world and I couldn't afford to stay there. I couldn't get my visa. We all have stories like that. That's crazy. Someone gets some other shit. But that's real, and that's a real incentive for someone. So you've got to be very honest. One thing that I can tell you is the more money you want to make young, the more you have to really have a heightened sense of what drives you, unapologetically. Unapologetically. Like, you gotta, and it can be a private conversation between you and yourself. Because if you can get specific, your reward on Friday when no one is there, as long as it's, I'm not even gonna say it shouldn't, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, just don't make sure it's too unhealthy. You need to make sure you know what it is, because otherwise you're not gonna squeeze the most out of yourself. Michael Jordan, he literally would create enemies in his head, bro. Like, bro is psychopathic, but like that worked for him. Know yourself really well. I know myself. My parents still like, Dami, you and your brother have multi-million-dollar business, you know, like get girlfriend, you know, like slow down, like you don't have to work as much now. That's all good. That's not how I'm wired, mom. I love you, but me and my brother, you know, I help my mom with marketing. I pay for her photo shoots for her market, for her little side businesses. That feels so good. That feels so good, right? But if I listened to her when I started out, I wouldn't be able to do that. Next question.
I would say,
You know, to endure all this pain and go through the hardship, you need a strong why.
Yeah.
So what's your why? Why Visa?
I got heaps of whys, man. Why did I start? Was that your question?
start with it.
Why I started was I went to America to play basketball in LA and Sacramento at 18. And by the time I came back, I realized I needed money to afford the shoot. You guys know the shooting machine where the ball goes in the machine that spits back out? I wanted to afford my own shooting machine because I couldn't afford one. And I ended up being like, okay, how do I make money? It just naturally got me going down that path. So I went online, tried all the different businesses that I mentioned before, went on Reddit, got hit with Tyzad, tried that, tried other things. I used to grow up very musical, so I used to play guitar, sing, play piano, write my own music. And I tried all those things. That's how I started entrepreneurship, at least with the agency side. Before that, I got a random person in a parking lot in Hoppers Crossing at the gym. We had a good conversation. It was a bit dodgy, and he's like, hey man, you want to be part of an opportunity? And then he exposed me to multi-level marketing. And I actually learned a lot from multi-level marketing, a lot. So that's how I started. That was the why initially, it was basketball. As I've gotten older, a bunch of whys, man. You know, I have friends that I would teach sales to that had their own agency, that I'd do an agency with, that are dead. You know, they just got caught up in the wrong lifestyle from West Melbourne and wrong family connections, and you know they're gone now. So there's a lot of whys. Now it's also the why is the team, because I got so many people that look up to me. Like I'm one of our average age in our company is probably like early 30s, early to mid 30s. So as a younger person in my own company, I'm like, okay, these 5 people in my company just had a baby. This 2 people just got a divorce. This guy's dad just died. Okay. Like, so every day I'm also thinking, how do I keep the machine going but also getting their emotional needs met? You kind of become like a dad. So you actually mature the more people you manage. Because if I go out, now that I live in South Yarra, if I go out to Chapel Street and I go crazy and I'm like, oh, we just hit like 100K in new clients in a month and like 80K was profit. I'm like, fuck, I could buy a Lambo right now. I'm gonna like go to Booth at Emerson. Like, hold on. Booth at Emerson means coming back home at 4 a.m., which means sleep deprived, which means 20% worse decisions based on my data because I track everything like an autist. So I'm like, okay, like maybe limit going out, still go out, but like maybe not 4 a.m., maybe make it 2 a.m. and like have dinner with the boys so like you don't get too lit. I'm usually not someone that gets too lit anyway. Okay, great. So you're eliminating variables for your people, right? That's my biggest why at the moment. It's my team, but obviously, yeah, like I got friends that, you know, wanted to live a life similar to where I'm living, and I'm definitely living it for them as well.
I'm sure you're someone that always comes with, as creative as you are, you'd always come with different ideas from come every day. Clientele this, I'm a city, I'm not super sure, but it's one of your main things that are going on.
Yeah.
You have good ideas come.
Second. Yes.
Hey guys, I think the booking is over.
Yes. Can you give us 5 minutes? We're just wrapping up. We'll
Yes,
pack up.
yes, please. Cool.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Quick. We have good ideas come on a regular basis. How are you able to stay on the mission, but also not lose momentum? Or not momentum, but just lose a spark or something that could be really great. And then how do you go about planting that seed and then working on it without not getting sidetracked and chasing two rabbits?
Yeah. I've actually got a process for this, and maybe when I come back from Dubai next month, I'll do probably 2 6-hour seminars on mindset and frameworks. So the framework for this is every 100K a month, I have a small budget for testing anything. So for example, once we're at, say, 500K a month, say in the next 1 or 2 months, that's an extra, as an example, 10K a month, I can test it on anything. Give my AI agent 10K a month, test it on a foreign farm investment in South Africa, just something random, just to see how it goes, right? If I want to use that as spending on a car, whatever. So I use that as test money, and that test money grows as I grow.
The 100K a month, every 100K you get a month, you see, I look at smoke.
So every extra 100K in monthly recurring revenue.
And if someone who has maybe a smaller scale of that amount, that would scale the same formula, but just
Just do every 1,000 a month. Just make it smaller. Just make it like 5%, $50. A lot can be done. I feel like Quasar, stuff like that, I did with such little money that it's like the money comes to those that are more resourceful when there's little. I got Quasar to 1 billion views at 23 with no creative director experience, with less than, a couple $1,000. Seasons of Quasar. Seasons. The culture of the people. Character influences the culture. How big you think mega. How big you think literally determines the ceiling of your money. I don't know like that, but like Afnan, like, trust me, like, some people, bro, they just think so big, and the world you have to just think big, bro. Yeah. Final question? That'll be all right. One more question. Yeah.
So in the entrepreneurial journey, everybody has shaky days, hard days, when you burn a shit, you want to cry in bed, whatever.
Yeah.
Push through with that. How do you sustain?
When it gets hard, I actually try and attack it even harder because I know most people would give up. So I actually take myself out of the picture. I'm like, this is probably where most people give up. I'm gonna go extra hard. When I'm sweaty, especially when I used to be in the cold calling days, sweaty on the phone, driving from Turak to Mornington Peninsula, dad's closed, pitching, no. 3-6 months, no results, corporate job fired, broken bed, can't afford to fix it, Like, that's when you know most people will give up. That's when you have to go even harder. Simple. That one's simple. There's no luxurious answer. Just know that most people will not stay in the battle that long. That's why if all of you buy mats, just literally don't give up. You guys might even surpass me. You guys might hit 10,000 appointments a day. And if you guys are doing 10,000 appointments a day, then you're basically like at Adrian Patelli's level. It's that mathematical. And some of his friends are my clients, and they don't even do our level of appointments. That's why I'm thinking way bigger in Australia now. I'm like, okay, like how many appointments was Tate's team booking? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Clavicular. I'm trying to post as much as Clavicular is posting by start of next year with AI. Think bigger. Who's going to stop you?
So you're the clip of AI?
Yeah, we already have an AI clipper on different Instagram accounts. People just can't see it yet because I don't want my competitor agency guys to take down my main account again. Because the other one we built up like 60K followers. But that's cool. I'll build this Bowlerpreneur one up even though it doesn't have my name. I'll build it to 1 million followers. I don't care. It's just numbers. Cool. All right. Thanks, boys. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. My boy. This will be put out on YouTube as well. Huh?
Oh, it was wonderful to meet you.
Likewise, man. My boy.
Absolutely amazing job, Dami.
I got you, man. We finna cook. A pleasure, my boy.
Bro, best talk I've ever been to.
Huh?